Have some fun tonight. Go get us a W. Hell yeah. Ready. Green. What the copy? Right foot down. We got to go, plan. Unbelievable, man. Way to keep your head in it. Holy ball. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Yeah. What? Yeah. I'm done with it. Miss your face. Set sail. Steve, you look beautiful. Doing great. Ridiculous, man. Holy. You see that? Holy cow. Good job, man. Good job, baby. Yeah. Holy crap. Yeah.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy, Darren Gilliam, aka Black Flags Matter, back for another edition of the NASCAR Weekly Podcast on BFM. Appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. We have the usual panel, of course, the Iceberg, Eric Estep, and Dannybtalks. Fellas, we had one of the craziest weekends ever. Now I had the privilege of covering IndyCar at Gateway. Eric, you were at Daytona. We also had the return of the famous Milwaukee Mile for the Truck Series. But before we get into all that, let's give our hot takes. And well, let me look out. And Danny, you are first up with your hot take. Danny, what is your hot take for this week?
Yeah, you mentioned our busy week, and not only did we all that happened, me and you, we went to SmackDown.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Time at a WWE show.
That's right.
Somber
awesome.
Terms as we was there paying tribute to Bray Wyatt.
Yes.
But moving on, hot take. My hot take is that what happened with Ryan Preece this weekend, even though we're wishing him the best, that incident, sadly, because of the way casual NASCAR fan culture is, was the biggest thing of his entire career so far. He has won many races in the modified series. He has won races in the lower series. But what most people across the world will now find when they look up Ryan Preece is going to be video, pictures of that 41 car flying through the backstretch area of Daytona. You can ask Michael McDowell, what was he known for the longest portion of his career? Flips at Texas Motor Speedway. Like it or not, big crashes are sadly part of NASCAR, and we can't just avoid super speedway racing like some suggested we should. And this is now a thing that if Ryan Preece wants to get that off of his legacy, it's time to go win some races. So Ryan Preece, when you're back behind the wheel, is he back? He's back this weekend, right? Or
yeah,
I don't know.
Okay. They haven't said anything that he isn't.
Okay, he's back racing. As far as we know, go out there, make the most of it. Maybe steal a win at Bristol or something like that, and make yourself known for more than just a flip.
Well, I'm next up. So I'm gonna go and have a little fun with silly season. Today we had the news that was announced of Matty D not coming back to Rackley War. I don't think, no matter what the plan was, either way, which way, whether it was a team letting him go or him leaving, I don't think he's leaving without a plan. So I'm going to say this. A couple weeks ago, we had heard that that Colleague had everything settled up for next year. I'm going to say it is, because I think until we have evidence otherwise, that a Chevy driver in Matty D will drive for Colleague next year in the Cup Series. He has prior Cup experience. He took that 21 car to the playoffs, and while it is called a fourth Penske car, it doesn't perform like that all the time. And I think that whether he's a stopgap or not, he would be a pretty viable candidate who's not brand new to NASCAR like a possible SVG would be, who's not somebody who's been in the Xfinity Series and might have aged out a little bit. So I'm going to say my guess at the moment, until we are proven otherwise, that's Matt DiBenedetto going up to the Cup Series.
That's a bold one. So my hot take, completely off topic or unrelated to that. So in football, the quarterback is the leader of the team. He's the most important player. And a large part of that job isn't even on the field. It's how he is at the podium, talking to the media, how he's able to lead, how he represents the franchise. And with that being said, I think in racing, I think that matters as well. I think you should be able to talk to the reporters, talk to the media. You shouldn't be afraid to have a TV camera in front of your face, even during pressure-packed races or moments. So while I don't agree with how Kyle Petty criticized Bubba Wallace and Ty Gibbs, calling them, if he's so mentally fragile, maybe this isn't the sport for him. I think that's a strong quote, and I understand why there was blowback for it. The core of his argument, I actually agree with. I think it's a little childish and immature when Bubba Wallace snubs NBC before races. I think it's childish when Ty Gibbs, I was in the media center this past weekend, just refuses to answer reporters' questions. He does the whole, I'm just here so I don't get fined, giving 2 and 3 word answers. Like, you're the leader of a team. You represent major sponsors. You should be able to talk to reporters. I understand that there's a lot of pressure on you. It's tough, but that's part of the job.
I guess I can give one of my early playoff predictions right now. And it's going to sound crazy to some because he's the defending champion. I could see Logano out of the first round, legitimately. Seriously. I could see him out of the first round. When you look back at his career with Penske, every time it's an odd year, he always struggles somehow. He usually misses the playoffs. He made it this year, but now that the points have reset, he's 1 point to the good. And it's not like he's been the best Penske car all season. I think really Penske in general is a tad bit off. I think that's fair to say. Ryan Blaney had an amazing start to begin the year, was leading the regular season points at one point early on. And then he's basically teetered off, and really Logano, he's kind of been the same. I mean, just looking at his past finishes. Now, of course, the playoffs are beginning and things could change, but just looking at these finishes, I'm just seeing, inconsistency. 1 week he's 35th. The next he finishes in the top 5. Then the next he finishes mid-pack. Then another finish outside the top 30. But his past couple of races, he's had top 5s and top 10s. But still, it's just too inconsistent for me. And, he just hasn't been the best Penske car this season. So, if I were to pick if I were to pick a driver who's usually a major player in the playoffs to miss the first round, I'm going to go with Logano right now. So, yep. Could be a hot take to some, could not, but let's start the poll.
Yeah, he has been kind of mid since, other than winning Atlanta. So
exactly. And you know what they say, Atlanta, I mean, basically a super speedway, right? So I don't know, not everyone takes super speedways seriously like that too. So yeah, that makes a case for some of those people. But we have the poll up, and really quick, we have nearly 400 people watching, and we just started the damn thing. Make sure to lick the like button. Currently at 78 likes. Let's try and get 100 before we reach the 30-minute mark. Okay.
People were saying we were just having warm takes that time.
Oh man, it's
Matt
a pretty
Benedetto to Cup is a warm take.
I guess so.
Surprisingly.
The defending champion getting knocked out in the first round. That's, I mean, I would say these are fairly spicy. I don't know.
Yeah,
I saw how fans reacted to Kyle Petty's comments. So for me to take Kyle Petty's side, more or less, I feel like that's at least a little spicy. I mean,
yeah, come on, guys. Give us a break here. Give us some credit, Oh, man. But anyways, appreciate you guys tuning in. Let's get right to it. Oh, and we reached 100 likes. Thank you guys so much. But let's get right into it. Daytona, the playoff cut line, regular season finale. I personally think someday this will be the championship finale. Someday down the road.
I mean, if that hurricane came 4 or 5 days earlier.
Yeah, you never know. But man, we had an exciting weekend. Eric, you were at the race. You were at the race weekend. Took in all the festivities as well as covering the entire weekend.
That I did.
Let's start off with RFK. RFK's basically back. A 1-2 finish. Keselowski had a very interesting night, getting the fire out and stuff. But in the end, he was able to help out his teammate and driver, Chris Buescher, scores third win of the season. I think, it's officially good to say that they're back, aren't they?
Third one in 5 races, they said.
Yeah, third one in 5 races. Do you agree, Eric?
I mean, I've been on the RFK hype train since like April or May. I mean, they've been the best most consistent Ford team all year. They're the only team to get all of their drivers. And I know it's only 2, other teams have 4, but they're the only team to get all their drivers into the playoffs. They've been back. Chris Buescher, at this point, he's the 4 seed going into the playoffs out of 16. He's 4th on the grid. Brad Keselowski, I don't know where he's. I think he's 9th or 10th. Like, these two guys, not only are they in the playoffs, they're, I think, expected to go at least to the round of 12, maybe even the round of 8. And I don't know. Some people might even have Chris Buescher going all the way to Phoenix. So no, Roush is absolutely back. You just knew when the overtime happened and you saw how the 2 RFK cars had found each other in the outside lane. Like, I remembered how fast they were in February when it was just the 2 of them. Poor Harvick and Chase Elliott on the inside had no chance to keep up with those 2 cars once they got hooked together.
It's not this weekend, I'll just say that, but I've got it on my radar for Brad Keselowski potentially win one of these races in this first round. And I could see Brad easily going on a tear of winning 3 races in the playoffs and potentially getting his way to the championship 4, maybe even Chris Buescher. But I'm looking more at Brad for these races that are coming up.
And I think the crazy part is when you look at consistency wise, I would say Chris Buescher is the first person consistency wise, not maybe winning wise or speed like that. I think that still goes to Byron, but I think Chris Buescher is the most consistent guy alongside Truex at this point. And that's easily going to get you past this round as long as you don't screw up. I think it's enough that, especially with the points he has accumulated, that it should be good enough to get past a round of 12. I feel like when it comes to the round of 8 every year, we have 7 guys who are pretty much were like, yeah, I knew that guy was going to make it that far if he executed, and he did. And I think Buescher can hit that. And then there's that one guy where we're like, what the hell are you doing here?
Chase Briscoe last. Yep. Last.
Yeah. Chris Buescher's starting to seem like Ross Chastain was last year at this point.
Except less chaotic. So
less chaotic.
I'm loving it. I think the thing about Buescher is he needs to get more stage points during races. That's what's going to be his Achilles heel come round of 8 is these other guys that are up front and have a lot of points. They get stage points. Buescher finishes well. He might not run as well during races.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. And when it comes down to the playoffs, I mean, it's crunch time. You need those extra points, if you're not going to get a win. But I think you can make a case for Chris Buescher maybe winning one of these races because, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't Bristol in the first round or no?
Bristol is the last one of the first round.
Well, there you go. There's one racetrack right there. And I mean, with the way the teams ran too, I mean, I won't be surprised if Brad Keselowski's in contention.
You've got Bristol in this first round. And then you've got Talladega. Both cars have been great on super speedways this year.
Yep. And then Darlington.
Got to win at Daytona.
He's consistent at road courses.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you can make a case for both of those cars, advancing very, very far.
And then when we're in that round of 8, I look at, I think Homestead could be a good track for them. But I really think Martinsville could be a good track for them.
Didn't Chris Buescher win a stage at Homestead a couple of years ago before
he did 2021.
Yeah.
2021.
He was looking pretty good in that one.
Yeah, I remember that.
We are totally gonna jinx this team.
Yeah,
we love you, RFK, but we're known for this.
Welcome to my world. Yes, sir. Welcome to my world. Really, that team has it all from the performance and the social media presence.
He's laying it on now.
I know that we're jinxing them because I've got a video in the queue ready to go. How Brad Keselowski saved Roush Fenway Racing.
There you go.
Soon.
Yep, starting off. Yeah, can't wait to see that. Now, this is still RFK related, but I gotta ask. So, I was kind of tuning in and out of the broadcast. I was like watching NASCAR drive and then like sort of watching the broadcast and stuff every now and then. And when I saw Brad Keselowski just basically I don't know, driving under the red flag, I was like, what the hell is he doing? Did you guys think the same thing? Or did you know oh, he's just getting a fire out at first?
I saw on Twitter first that, Keselowski's reporting there's a fire in the cockpit during the red flag. And I thought, oh, he's leading. Didn't he just win the stage? Oh, that's like big news. And then I looked up at the big screen. I was standing on pit road and they showed it on the video boards at the track, apparently well before they ever showed it on NBC, of Brad just driving slowly in a circle, just on the apron, on the backstretch. And I thought that was the funniest thing ever. And I didn't know. I've seen a lot of folks, question or criticize, should he have been allowed to do that? I don't know exactly.
My car is on fire and I can prevent it.
I don't know how the rule is written. To me, the most rules in the rule book are extremely vague. If you smell and smoke in the cockpit and he's just driving around at 15 miles per hour under the red flag away from other people, he's doing it safely, he should be allowed to do that.
It's not like Brad's just decided, you know what? I'm ready to do some burnout.
Yeah, or I'm going to go 2 laps ahead of the field.
Yeah, it's not like he's passing cars. He's not. You could argue he's working on his car, but he's not, he didn't get out of his car to pull on the fenders.
Has there been radio communications put out from NASCAR? What were they saying on their end of it?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't heard that. I heard on Radioactive, all the other drivers reacting to it. I like
surely, Dave Hoots was up there talking, what is the 6th doing?
I love Chastain's line, how Keselowski looks like a dog with the zoomies. I thought that was kind of
well. Dave Hoots would if he were still there. Now it's the Hamilton guy.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I just that debate. Should he have been penalized or not? No, burned to death.
Yeah, that's now NASCAR's gonna add a rule like, oh, so yeah, you can't do your move your car at all.
What's
There's
that?
a fire.
There's a TikTok account. Don't put the fire out. Burn your car. Be a man.
Jared would show
that
me
would be
those
an
all the time.
expensive technicality if they
Yeah.
if they expect him to sit there and let his car roast.
Yeah, but yeah, look, listen, this is a nothing burger. Kozlowski smelled fire, and yeah, if you smell fire, naturally you want to put it out.
Well,
You just put it out.
And really quick, something else that's kind of like a nothing burger is we talked about this before the show among the four of us. A Trackhouse was talking about like, oh, we got a big thing coming at 801.
Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
It's literally just like a promo trailer for, are you ready for Chastain to go at it again and get another and try a
It's just a Chastain hype package.
Oh my gosh, poor Eric. He thought it's like, oh, watch out for this announcement.
Well, I mean,
we were over here talking. What time is it in New Zealand?
But he was the first one to bring it up, and I was like,
yeah, I saw it earlier today, and I thought, oh, what a Trackhouse. I was like, 8 p.m. That's a weird time to announce something, and I thought maybe it has something to do with Shane Van Gisbergen being in New Zealand time, and then I'm like, I don't know. It turned out to be nothing. Yeah,
just one of those deals. But yeah, I'm gonna.
That's why we love NASCAR. They can all do that to us like that.
Exactly.
Spencer says rare Trackhouse L in the chat.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna end the poll and congrats, Jared. They really think, they think your Matty D to the 31 is a hot take. I am second. I'm a second with 26%. Eric third, 25, and Danny with the coldest take of the week at 16%.
All agree that Ryan Preece will forever be known for his flip.
Damn. Hey, you gotta give him some credit. He might win.
That's
maybe.
a good segue. I mean, that was probably outside of the whole RFK deal we talked about. I think that was the biggest story.
Yeah. So the biggest story, of course, that was that was a crazy flip. See, now that I'm older, flips, when I was younger, and I think it's fair to say this was a little bit more understandable. When I was younger and I would see a flip, I'd be like, whoa, that's so cool. That's crazy. But now that I'm older and I know how, racing works and stuff, the safety aspect, I always cringe every time I see that, and when Ryan Preece just darted to the left and stuff, and then as soon as I saw basically the front of his car just dig into the grass, I knew. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is about to be either Rusty Wallace Talladega 93, I believe, and then or DW 91 Daytona. Just one of those flips.
It reminded me of Mikey in the 504 mixed with Elliott Sadler 03 at Talladega. But those are the ones I grew up with.
Yeah, and honestly,
we hadn't seen a car just catch air and blow over like that. Well, I take it back. 2022 500, we saw Harrison Burton do that, but it wasn't near to the extreme of this one because this was a lot more gentle of what happened in that one. This one just when it got wild, it got wild real fast for Ryan Preece.
Yeah, and he got incredible air on a couple of those sort of, I don't know what you want to call them, just rollovers. I mean, I think they counted 11 total flips, rotations.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where that lands in the record books, but that's one of the that was one of the most violent, might be the most violent flip I've seen since those crashes you just mentioned, Jarrett. Since those were the early days of me watching NASCAR. Like we've seen some scary crashes at Daytona, like Newman in 2020, Dylan going into the catch fence. But as far as just a blowover, tumble through the grass, I mean, that was one of the most aggressive flips I've seen in decades. And
hard for me to tell on TV, but at the first glance, I saw his front bumper all kinds of twisted and stuff. I thought the car was upside down, and I saw some fire, and I was like, oh, he's on fire upside down. Then they went to the other camera. It's like, oh, it's just that twisted after that.
Yeah. And honestly, another flip too. I mean, maybe you can make the case Dave Allison 92 at Pocono. I mean, like it sort of digged into the ground, but then all of a sudden it just,
I think
didn't Rusty Wallace have one like this at Talladega?
93.
I think the thing that people like a lot of fans, especially younger fans, forget is like this used to be normal Gen 4 on back. I think COT a little bit, but I mean, it was Gen 4 on back, and it was pretty normal on a semi-regular basis to see a blowover like this. I mean, a lot of them we listed off were Gen 4 and around Gen 4 start.
Yeah.
I think for me, like flips, I don't like seeing in person just because it's crazy. I've seen a couple in person, and I don't like the feeling of watching. But flips necessarily aren't that bad safety-wise because of all the energy dissipating. Where I think the big concern comes in is the roof hatch coming undone almost right away. I get it was a freak accident, but still, I mean, when you're seeing him flip in the air and you're like, what's that shiny thing? That's his head.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah. And I saw some debates about that. Some made that case. Others were like, well, that's just normal in a wreck because look at these other past flips or
Apparently, it's
whatever.
meant to be easy to open up, so it's just going to happen.
Yeah. But it is very scary looking, especially on the replays, because you're like, oh God, anything could go in this car, you know?
But that's not even that, is he flips over, and you remember Ryan Newman got hit right in that driver's side.
Yeah.
If he's flipped over with a roof hatch off, he is literally getting hit in the head by a race car at 190 miles an hour.
Yeah, no, that is definitely a concern. I know part of the window net also came detached. I mean, anything that exposes or potentially exposes the driver to debris or potentially traffic is like NASCAR needs to look at that. And that they are. I mean, they said they're taking the car back to the R&D center. Ironically, after a different wreck Priest was a part of in the next gen, they reinforced the sidewalls and softened the noses. So, I mean, NASCAR, to their credit, at least the last couple of years, the initial design of the next gen was flawed in several ways, but since then they have been pretty quick to react whenever new I don't know what the word is, liabilities, I guess, the new flaws present themselves.
Yeah.
So, but no, that was
new problems, basically.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely scary. Did y'all hear? And now I'm gonna misremember it, but Denny Hamlin on his podcast this week talked about how during like one of the early next gen tests, I don't remember exactly what he said he did. He like okay, Melissa actually just said in the chat, Hamlin hit the roof hatch during a test session and said it detached and blew off while he was driving.
Yeah,
like he's out there testing on the track, and it, because he'd accidentally loosened it without realizing it because he just bumped it or something. So there seems to maybe be a design flaw. It shouldn't be that easy to loosen the roof
that's a
hatch.
good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
You bring up Priest too, and we have the Newman bar, but this is the second time Priest is probably going to have a crash that's influential in safety changes for NASCAR. If we're having the Newman bar, I feel like at this point the super speedway car should just be the Priest car. Yeah, Newman bar, Priest car, because Priest
didn't Priest have that? He had a scary Kansas wreck a few years ago.
He did,
right?
yeah, he did, yeah. 2020, yeah,
yeah, and
because he didn't flip in that, but he come awful close in that one.
Wasn't that the one where he was like on his side skidding into the inside wall? That was a crazy crash.
I will say, I know we're all on the same page with safety on this. I want to say one thing, man. I am so sick of this. It's time to do away with super speedway racing. It's past.
Can we talk about that?
They're never going to do that. And the main thing is money. It sells. It sells. It sells.
And you know what I've noticed? That's mostly from people in the industry, and I understand to a certain extent because you spend all your time working on these race cars, and basically you take them to either Daytona or Talladega to usually crash them. That's just the way speedway racing is nowadays. But come on, to get rid of them, like these are the money makers.
How does marketing departments, social media teams, all of that part in NASCAR, how do they promote big crashes at Daytona and Talladega?
Yeah.
Am I crazy? Big crashes at Daytona, Talladega, Bristol, wherever it may be, they go to the crashes.
Well, I don't even think it's that.
Go to the poll, by the way, chat.
It's it's the most NASCAR type of racing. It's uniquely, Eric, I know, Eric, you said it a lot. It is uniquely NASCAR to super speedway race. And I get, other than that flip and a bad push in the corner at the end of stage 2, really, it was honestly a really good race and clean race. There were 2 moments. They didn't crash him into overtime 100 times. They didn't have everybody making dumb moves. A lot of the driving, I thought, especially for a cutoff race with people falling back when stuff got too hairy for them, I thought it was honestly smarter plate racing, because that's what I still call it, plate racing, than we've had in years. I think a lot of it has been the drivers need to adjust a bit, and I feel like in this especially, they adjusted really well.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, to see people saying like, "Hey, just get rid of super speedway racing," that's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen.
Yeah, never ever.
It's tricky. I think anytime you see big wrecks, like I think about Blaney's wreck, which I know we'll talk about in a moment. But
we'll talk about next.
He's about to win stage 2, did everything right, and then gets hooked from behind 190 miles an hour into the wall head on. And I think as long as Daytona and Talladega style racing continue to be that fluky, I think you'll consistently, like, this argument is going to continue to come up, and it's usually going to come from people in the industry, wives and girlfriends. I saw Caitlin Larson tweeted that, like, something along the lines of, "Do we really need to keep going to like racing like this?" Like blah blah blah. Like that's who it's going to primarily be. But as long as we get big crashes and fast cars taken out by no fault of their own, it's going to continue. And it's to a degree that the debate is fair because like the sport's biggest race, the Daytona 500, has increasingly become more and more of a crapshoot. And it's like, you want the biggest races that we honor the most to actually honor the most deserving, the most competitive. And it doesn't always feel like we do, but for every, fluky Austin Cindric Daytona 500 win, you could also look at Brad Keselowski this year. Great super speedway racer, fast super speedway cars. And I think he's finished 6th or better in like every super speedway race this year, something like that.
I think
Kyle Busch still hasn't got one. He's won Daytona. He's won
exactly.
Talladega, and I'm sure he wants to win a 500.
So there's two sides to the argument. There's the Kyle Busch has never won one. We know he's a great driver. Denny Hamlin, though, clearly a better super speedway racer than most. He's got 3 Daytona 500. So like it's still up in the air, but that's why the debate continues. The crashes are dangerous. And the racing there's a lot of luck involved, So.
I think my biggest issue with it, and it's the same issue I have when people are like, will be because it's a lot of industry people that say this too, are like, we need 5 or 6 or 7 off weeks a year, and to split the schedule up into like 5-week spans and different stuff like that. You know what you sign up for going in, and I know it's got to be a gauntlet. You're going to be on the road a lot, but it's not like this is. And same with super speedway racing having these issues. This it's not like this is a surprise. Like super speedway racing is. I've heard the same complaint since I've been a fan. There's been the same complaint since before I've watched, since before I've been born. It's the same complaints from drivers. But at this point, we are. What are we now? Almost 40 years into super speedway racing, 35 give or take. I mean, you know what you're going into.
Yeah, and also like how many years have we been in this type of super speedway racing where we have either plates or taped spacers like around the same time?
That's what I mean.
Like, okay.
If we didn't step away from this, honestly, when Senior died, then we weren't going to step away from it.
And that's a perfect segue into the next accident. Ryan Blaney's. Now, I saw this and I didn't want to say anything at first because I didn't know if it was like, what the reaction would be for that because I wasn't really sure. But after seeing the reaction on Twitter and really everyone on social media, that accident was basically the closest accident to Dale Sr.'s fatal crash.
Looked it's like the closest. In my opinion.
Yeah, looked just like it. Same turn. The only difference was, he was, on the high side. Dale Sr. started on the low side, veered to the high side. Oh my gosh, that was a hard hit. That was extremely scary. And really the second hard hit Ryan Blaney's taken, because remember Nashville.
To see that slow-mo of the safer barrier caving in, bouncing him back off, that was like such a good thing to see because you've seen, whether you wanted to or not, you've seen that clip of what happened in 01. You've seen that car go into a solid concrete wall and just all that energy stopped right there versus this dissipated energy appropriately. Ryan walks away. It's crazy how far we've come.
It really is. And it's crazy how far we've come even in the last year. Again, like NASCAR's tweaked the front clip of these cars so they crush and crumble a little bit better, absorb the impact a little bit better. I actually talked to Brendan Poole on my other podcast, Power Hour, this week, and he was in that crash. You kind of see him at the end spinning and hitting the inside wall really hard. And I asked him, like, how did that hit compare to hits in the old cars, hits in the next gen? And he actually said that hit was like better than almost any other hit he's taken similar. Like he said, he usually has a headache, didn't have a headache. And every every wreck is different. Every Blaney's was obviously a harder impact, but that's just what I'm saying is NASCAR has made improvements even in the last year. And to see him get out of the car and he hung around, I saw, that wreck happened about halfway through the race, a little past halfway. Blaney went to the infield care center, was checked and released, spoke to media, went back to his motorhome, got changed, hung around, and I saw him on pit road after the race confronting Christopher Bell and talking to him for a minute about maybe what caused that wreck. So that tells me that, Blaney was more or less okay afterwards, which is, again, like you guys are saying, that was just remarkable because, they had to red flag the race to fix part of the track he hit so hard. That's crazy.
Well, and for me, I think the craziest wasn't the overhead angle of the hit into the wall. It was when they showed the inside the car view and you see his head jolt forward, but it didn't like go as because remember, I believe it was last year we talked about Ricky Stenhouse and how he went almost all the way into the steering wheel,
Yeah, I remember that.
Wasn't that far. I know there's been a lot of improvements made, but I know that one of the big things we talked about last year when we talked about safety is these big hits, these ones that we think are going to hurt people. The next gen's better at. It's like it's too rigid for the smaller hits. So I worry about Blaney a little bit just because of hard hit after hard hit, especially after hitting that concrete wall at Nashville. But there hasn't been any word that he's not cleared the race or anything. So
Yeah, I forgot about that Nashville hit. That one was really nasty.
Yeah, I mean,
That
these
one
hits
still makes no sense of why SMI didn't get that handled the minute they bought that track.
Yeah, and these hits take their toll after a while. I mean, just take a look at Junior. I mean, he could have maybe raced longer if he didn't take all these hits neither. So you have to wonder, what effect this will have on Blaney in the future.
Well, look at Kurt Busch before the concussion that took him out. I mean, that he talked about, back last year, and I know he talked about other things this year, but he talked about last year, multiple big hits over and over again.
Literally, sombering note, this weekend he officially finally had to retire.
And we'll touch on that later on in the show as well. But yeah, just one of those unfortunate cases. We certainly saw some of the worst crashes, not just at Daytona, but really in the short history of the next gen in one weekend, honestly. So it's great to see safeties, evolved over the years, and it's great to see that these next gen cars are, a little bit more safer than compared to a season ago. So that's good. Good on NASCAR for improving those. But hey, we talked about all this negative stuff with the wrecking, potential, other stuff. But let's talk about the positives, man. That was an awesome race besides the wrecks, man. The package, it was criticized for a little bit there, the next gen package on super speedways. But man, as soon as they started going 3 wide, like towards the end of, what was it? It was either towards the end of stage 1 or at the beginning of stage 2. That was
both,
insane. Yeah, both maybe. That was
the first
insane.
The first 30 laps, 40 laps of stage 2, they ran 3 wide, practically 8 rows deep. Like we had never seen that with this car.
Yeah, and there were parts where shout out to Riley Herbst. He was holding his own early on at first, but there were parts where you could tell he had very little experience with that, because then Denny Hamlin just leaves him out to dry there.
I thought it was Harvick.
Harvick left him out to dry?
Poor Herbst was leading that line really well, and I think he had said he was like, oh, okay, we're working with Kevin, and Kevin's like, screw you, kid, I got 10 races left.
Oh, no, that's right. Okay, thank you for reminding me that. Damn,
the NBC did mention that throughout the year they've been slowly doing little tinkering changes to the super speedway package, even that they haven't announced, and you can clearly see I think Daytona racing wise, it had its moments, wasn't too great. Same with the first Atlanta. Personally, I thought Talladega was a bit better, even though we did have our complaints. Atlanta was even better than that, and this is noticeably better. It reminds me of the early Gen 6 days. The early Gen 6 super speedway races weren't all that great, but they improved it quickly throughout the year. And by that last Daytona race, that last Talladega race, it was a lot better. I'm finally again excited to go to Talladega racing wise, because I think we're going to see this kind of racing again. The third line now is a viable option. And I'll just say this as a fan, those 30 or so laps, I was sitting there at my screen right here going oh my God, this is awesome. I'm sitting there
because there's a lot on the line.
I am geeking as a fan. Not even that, just geeking at the fact that you could make moves. Handling mattered. And you saw where they were going through the corners. It wasn't just saving gas. This track surface is almost 15 years old, and it reminded me of those old Pepsi 400s where you see them lifting out of the gas. They're washing up the track. They're having to manhandle the car. They can't make some of the dumb moves.
The track itself is really coming into a sweet spot now, this many years after the repave.
I'm sorry. This makes me so excited, because I love when handling matters at these super speedway races.
It was repaved in 11, so it's now 12 years old.
10, 2010.
10.
Before, because they tore it apart
first race
after that.
First race was 2011. Yep.
Yeah, so I'm excited, man. I don't. It's probably pretty easy to tell, but I was geeking at this.
Yeah,
wow. In 6 years, the new Daytona service can vote.
There you go. But yeah, look, you talk about they made little improvements to the super speedway package every now and then. Can we get that for the short tracks, please? Am I right? Come on, can we get that, please?
I think that's more of a design issue, whereas the super speedway package, let's be honest, they're not shifting at the super speedways, but it's I like this because I think it's going to keep this aging of the track is going to stop drivers, especially later in runs, from making dumb moves. And it's going to spread the pack out a little bit, which it sounds bad saying that, but I think that it actually will help having it a little more spread out. You'll probably have to have bigger runs with different drivers. It's just, I think it's going to improve the racing in ways that slowly but surely we'll see.
Yeah, hopefully less wrecks in the future. I mean, if they're going to be a little bit more spread out, yeah, that'll lead to less wrecks and stuff. So if you're against super speedway racing, there you go. Hey, you might see some improvement there.
Watch the mid 2000s and early 2000s. Everyone thinks it's like everybody was all together and it was just like the Gen 6. No, they were spread out.
No.
And if NASCAR wants to stop the wrecks, which, listen, this is an outlier at the moment for not being wreck filled at the finish the whole time. If they want to spread them out, look back to the past, maybe smaller fuel cells, so they have to pit more under green, different things like that.
Mm-hmm.
You saw at the end of the race, like it took everybody in that second group lining up and making their way up. Maybe NASCAR can go more that direction to keep the drivers, from themselves when it comes to wrecking. I don't know. I'm really liking this direction it's going of not being a complete wreck fest. It's going to require more talent, and I think it's going to have better drivers in the future being up at the front battling for the win. I mean, look at our front four at the end. Like, I think all four of those drivers are solid, good talents.
They were deserving. They were deserving of those finishes, absolutely, and they didn't get taken out because of some BS wreck or whatever. And to Eric's earlier point about the biggest race being a crapshoot, if it continues to improve, that could be a thing of the past. So it's always good to see.
True.
But yeah, really quick shout out to the chat. Shout out to Skew Car, NASCAR are out, and Ellie Productions for showing up. Really appreciate it, guys. And we got 100, just a little under 150 watching. Make sure to lick the like button, everybody. Or I'm at 550. Sorry, 550.
I get having the flashbacks about the 550 word, but
those were season 1 numbers.
Don't discredit the great chat and how much.
Oh man,
I'm if you see me looking here, it's because y'all are going nuts in the chat, and I love it.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Make sure to lick the like button. Just under 550 watching. Make sure to lick it. Really appreciate it. So you talk about those top 3 finishers, deserving their finishes. They deserve to be up there. We're going to have to get to one of them and talk about their playoff hopes being dashed. But first, let's start with something positive. Bubba Wallace has made the NASCAR playoffs. I was the only one who predicted he wouldn't make it, and now I look like a fool. And I have never been so happier. I've never been happier to look like a fool in my life. It was a long time in the making. Finally, Bubba Wallace delivers.
Don't worry. I've learned they will never let you forget your bad decisions of predictions.
Oh no, you might as well.
Forget.
You might as well live with it. Exactly. You might as well just take it like a man. But yeah.
Well, hey, I mean, can anyone truthfully say they blame you based on the last few seasons?
I mean, yeah, but it's funny. It's even funnier because I was the only one. You know what I mean? So that's what makes it even funnier. But hey, let's talk about Bubba Wallace really quick. Bubba Wallace, man, 3rd year with the team. It's about time he makes it in. But Eric, I mean, do you think in a way this sort of, quiets the doubters, or, because of the 2 Hendrick drivers missing, because of sort of, mostly due to injury and stuff, could that also, play a role? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't want to get into the technicality of it too much. Sure, if Bowman doesn't miss 3 races or whatever it was and get a 60-point penalty, he beats Bubba Wallace. Chase Elliott doesn't get hurt, he probably beats Bubba. So I don't want to get into that because that sort of brings the fact
of the matter is he made it, okay, and
the fact is
Bowman could have won a race.
Exactly. The fact is Bubba did make it, and if you look at his numbers this year, his first 2 years with 23-11, they started out really bad. It took him all summer, it felt like, to get to where this looks like a playoff team, and then they'd win a race too late. This year, if you look at the numbers, they started bad again, kind of, but they figured it out quicker. And I think in May, between Kansas, Darlington, they rattled off 3 straight top 5s. It's they haven't done that previous season. So clearly this year they were ready to take a step forward early on. He hasn't won a race yet this year, but he's currently sitting at a career best average finish for a season by at least 2 positions, I think, over last year. So he's clearly improved. I think Bubba and Booty Barker, that's a great team over there. They're a good duo. I think bringing Tyler Reddick in, I mean, you lost something by Kurt Busch not driving, but he's still there. And then you added another great young driver in Tyler Reddick. So I just think the whole group is stronger this year, Bubba included. So no, I think he deserves a lot of credit. It was cool to see Michael Jordan, who has apparently been more involved with the team since selling the Charlotte Hornets, at least. He was there. And I think I overheard either somebody, it might've been the Teardown. I heard this, or maybe I heard this from somebody else, that like the team intentionally will like keep Michael Jordan away from Bubba, because go back to Kyle Petty's comments. He like they think he psychs Bubba out and like causes him to like put too much pressure on himself and make mistakes. And so
they're just gonna go, Mr. Jordan, you're not permitted to see our client.
He's got like his VIP hot pass or whatever. Sir, we need you to stay behind the gate. We need you to stay back here.
Imagine telling Michael Jordan, hey, you can't talk to your own athlete, by the way.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, either way, the fact that then after the race, all that relief, all that joy and excitement, they were able to sort of celebrate that moment. Hamlin was one of the first to come over and congratulate Bubba as well. That was cool. So no, I'm really happy for Bubba. They've clearly taken another small step this year. Like I like that. Year 1 to year 2 to year 3, they've gotten slightly better each season. That's good. That's really good
for them.
As my wife pointed out, it's like when Peyton Manning comes to a Tennessee Vols game, that typically can put some bad juju on them.
Well, and bad luck. Isaac here, I just actually was spending a little time here while you guys were talking, counting it out, and he has been my fact checker here. But credit to Eric and Danny for getting 12 of the 16 right, which I got to say for most years, like we usually all of us
that'd be low.
13, 14. So,
yeah.
Oh, so God. They got 12. I got 11. Darian got 10.
Okay, at least I was in the double digits. Okay.
Good job, Danny.
I can't even remember who I picked originally now.
We got a high five, Danny, to your right, I think. If I'm looking at Jared's screen correctly.
Yeah.
Other
way.
Other way.
Yeah.
There you go.
Good job.
But yeah, hey, at least I was in the teens.
To be fair to all of us, like, did we really expect everything that happened to Bowman and Elliott? Like that really put the numbers down a bit.
No, I mean I started dunking on Bowman towards the end, honestly, to play into the main.
I will say this right now. I fully admit my dumb pick with Byron, but I was the only one who didn't pick Briscoe, who said Briscoe was gonna miss too. So I mean I guess some missed some.
Yeah, no, I talked about this in my video yesterday. I bought into the Briscoe hype way too soon, because last year he was not very good last year outside of that Phoenix win and the playoffs. And even in the playoffs, it felt like they were just scraping by with top 10 on strategy, on who knows what. Stewart Haas Racing has been declining year after year. I shouldn't have bought into the Chase Briscoe hype, but no, the Elliott Bowman blew up a lot of people's playoff grids.
At least you didn't have both colleague cars in like I did.
I had one of them.
Yeah,
I had both.
We all had Allmendinger.
I gotta give this to Bowman though. He blew a first place point standings this year.
That's right.
Yeah,
I felt so bad because Bowman was honestly putting together probably the most solid season of his career.
It was the best year of his entire career.
And you know what? That's a perfect segue into the next thing. Unfortunately, Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman missed the playoffs, which means half of Hendrick Motorsports are not going to run for a championship. And go ahead, Dan. Go ahead.
I was just going to say about Bowman, he's got the contract extension. I think he proved earlier this year, before all this happened, why he got it. But then me and Jared talked about this. I just don't think he was ready to come back as soon as he did.
Yeah.
It was kind of like if they didn't come back then, it was going to be definitely out of reach. Ultimately it was out of reach.
I had that theory, and I wanted to and I talked a bit about it, but it was once Denny, who has went through this, said it's like, yeah, he is out, like he's not 100%. I still have faith for next year. Have that recovery time. Make sure that
I think he might be fine now, even. But
I will say that extension goes through what, 25?
25 or 26, I don't remember.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
If it's 25, I will say if he has a season that's middle of the road next year, or he doesn't win, and then you're going into a contract year with how long removed did it be? Almost 3 years removed from a win. So that will be an interesting.
I'm thinking of what's coming up the pipeline. For a while, there hasn't been anyone in the junior motorsports pipeline that's made me worry for him. Depending on what happens, I'm kind of wondering if we see Carson Hocevar get a junior motorsports deal. If that happens, he's someone I would keep my eyes on.
Well,
Yeah,
and if sponsorship doesn't go right, Brandon Jones is always there
Oh,
with that
gosh.
Menards sponsorship.
And really quick, before I move on to Eric and get his opinion, let me just say this. I know, I was basically trolling Alex Bowman and Chase Elliott fans all weekend. Look, that was planned, okay? And yes, I had the video planned out and stuff. Oh, and fun fact, after I uploaded that, the next day I had lost 30 subscribers, but then I gained them back. So you guys are awesome. You guys are the best. Thank you so much.
No,
but look,
you lost supporters and you gained haters of them. That's what you did.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess so.
I came back as haters.
Yeah. But you know what? Looking at it objectively, all right, let's get all the trolling and stuff. Let's be for real. Okay. Mostly due to injuries, and missing races and stuff like that. And of course, Chase Elliott being suspended that one race is the reason they didn't make the playoffs. Because when you look at the stats, Chase Elliott actually wasn't that bad in his return. I mean, 2 second-place finishes, but of course, he had to get the win to even have a shot at competing for a championship. And Alex Bowman, like Danny said, was just never the same. So I ran a poll in the chat, and I agree with 90% of the chat. Look, it's Hendrick Motorsports. I think they still have a ton of production left. They will rebound next year.
Well, and I said it today when in the video I put out, especially with Chase Elliott, people need to relax. Like calm. Like I'm saying, haters of Chase Elliott, like yeah, you can have your victory lap or whatever, but you're not like. Especially history showing with Chase Elliott and how he did this year as a down year. You're not going to get many more chances to do that in the near future. And fans of his that are wanting everything blown up, relax. Just chill, relax. Because Chase Elliott, I was looking, if you would put the points per race for 19 races, it was, I think, 27.7 was what it rounded to. You put that to a 26 race schedule, he's 10th in points. He's getting playoff points off of where he is in the standings. The team itself, even with the patchwork quilt of drivers filling in for Elliott on top of his performance, and basically taking himself out with Denny Hamlin, still would have made it points wise. I know that obviously racing different, blah blah blah. We all know that. So if this is the down year, and in 29 starts, as long as he doesn't miss another race, he's on track for about 11 top 5s and 16 top 10s. Neither of those are career lows of his. And he's made the playoffs every year before this.
Yeah.
He's fine.
But while we're talking about numbers, though, there is one number that does concern me if I'm a Chase Elliott fan, and I do believe he'll bounce back. It's laps led. Yeah. He's led, I think, 41 laps this year, and I think like his previous career low was his rookie season where he led like almost 400 laps. So that is, he's been around the top 10. He just hasn't been around the top 3 very much. And that is a little bit of a concern. I think he'll be back stronger next year.
What'd you find?
This, and again, a lot of time left, probably could change depending on how they do. But at the moment, this is the first time ever I think that I've seen where Chase Elliott is lowest at Hendrick in laps led. Alex Bowman is sitting at 75 to Elliott's 41. I know it's not really that big of a deal, and but
that's surprising
for this year. But I do agree, laps led. I think laps led is very important. Elliott didn't run well, but he would finish well a lot of the time. Is what I kind of noticed with it. But
yeah,
I still, I mean, I think he's one of the top 5 drivers in NASCAR, even with this down year. You look at especially about 2018 to 2022. 5 years, 18 wins. The years before that, he was always competing for wins. I think that because of how unprecedented this season is, I think people are just blowing it out of proportion. I really think he's going to be a championship. He probably, if I had to bet, would probably be a favorite for the championship next year.
There's still 10 races left. Who's to say they won't spoil again? Like we've seen Alex Bowman play spoiler at Martinsville.
I mean, maybe this is a hot take. I'll go as far out to say it. I think that Elliott and that 9 team is the best driver team combo to miss the playoffs or chase since Tony Stewart 2006. And
Chase
I think he could do the same thing there.
He could still easily go out and win a couple of races. The Roval, one thing comes to mind.
Like Ellie says, Dega, I mean, he's a good super speedway. I mean, yes, they're going for the Owners' Championship, so they'll probably race a bit differently. But I personally don't think they'll make it too far in that. Like, I think they're going to go for wins more. And I think they're just going to go all out in a way that they probably hadn't been going necessarily beforehand. Maybe they'll run out of gas again. Who knows?
Yeah, and really quick too, before we move on, for those who are asking for Gustafson to be fired and stuff, look, I mean, like we just pointed out, like, hey, they were still running good for the most part once Elliott came back. So all I'll say is be careful what you wish for. Be careful.
I'm just saying, Gustafson, crew chief, that car is still in the owners championship standings, and it wasn't Alan Gustin who went skiing. It wasn't Alan Gustin who turned right into Denny Hamlin.
It's true.
It's true. Yeah.
Chase Elliott was playing strong defense for Alan Gustafson at Daytona this weekend.
Okay, good.
So
good. Yeah, he should, and he realizes it. We're talking about Chase Elliott, but we're kind of forgetting about Bowman. Bowman could do good too. He could do good too in the final turn race.
Bowman's so odd to me. Like he always.
He's always on a tight leash.
He has and he's shown it. 2021, which, by the way, for all you Hendrick fans, I did predict that one right. But 2021, 4 wins. You know, he's got a lot of speed. End of 2020, really had pushed over into that season where he was really consistent the year before. But then there's other times where he'll just go like 15 weeks without a top 10, and that's the thing about Bowman that I can never properly guess with him is. Which Bowman are we going to get? Are we going to get Showman the Bowman or Lowman the Bowman?
There's so much potential there with him. And it proves why you don't get 7 wins in the NASCAR Cup Series for no reason.
Yeah, no, you don't. I mean, like, he's definitely earned his place on that team. But again, there's some younger drivers out there who are looking to take that same seat, you know? So,
yeah, I mean, I think 7 wins is fine and all, but how many Casey Kane get before it's time to move on?
Exactly.
And he's still, I mean, it's not a great year, but I mean, he still has 8 top 10s this year. Elliott has 9. Like,
it's not terrible.
Yeah, I think we got to put that in perspective too. Like, he's not been horrid. It's just not as good as the start of the year.
He's not 2008 Casey Mears. Let's put it that way. There you go.
Yes.
Well, and I want to mention, Danny mentioned the short leash. Historically, that may be true. He's got a long leash now. I just looked it up. His contract does go through 2026.
Oh,
that is 3 more full seasons on top of this year. Like, I mean, that's a lot of time to figure it out. I mean,
don't start buying your Carson Hocevar 48 gear merch yet.
Don't buy don't release the bootleg merch quite yet. Don't release it yet. Oh man, but those are the drivers. We talked about one driver who made it in the playoffs. Those are the 2 most notable drivers who missed it. Now let's get to the official playoff grid. Okay. Let's go over it. We're going to start with the top 12 who are already in to start. William Byron leads the way actually William Byron and Martin Truex Jr. at tie. They're both tied at plus 29. But Truex did end up winning the regular season championship. Denny Hamlin's third at plus 18. Chris Buescher at fourth at plus 14. Kyle Busch plus 12 and fifth. In 6th is Kyle Larson plus 10. 7th, Christopher Bell plus 7. 8th, Ross Chastain plus 4. 9th, Brad Keselowski plus 3. 10th, Tyler Reddick plus 2. 11, Joey Logano plus 1, tied with his teammate in 12th, Ryan Blaney at plus 1. Now, the bottom 4 to start the playoffs, Michael McDowell minus 1, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. minus 3, Kevin Harvick minus 4, and finally, Bubba Wallace minus 8. So, fellas, I mean, like, this is a very competitive field. Obviously, most of the playoff grid won races this year. I guess like the first easiest question is, I guess we could predict early on and stuff like who they think, which 4 you think will miss it and stuff. But the first question I want to ask is, how many drivers do you think you can make a case for to win the championship here? Because right now, I think I see like 5-6 drivers I feel like you can make a case for to win the championship. Eric, I'll start off with you.
Oh, I think you could make the case, a legitimate case for close to a dozen cars that could, or drivers, cars that could legitimately win the championship. Anyone who drives for Joe Gibbs Racing, easy. The 2 Hendrick cars, easy. So there's 5 right there. Chastain was there last year. Now that team has been so up and down, inconsistent. Dare I say bad, honestly, since Nashville. They need to turn things around quick. But the 2 RFK guys at this point, I can't bet against them. They're not the favorites to win the title by any means, but I could write a dissertation about why they have a fighting chance. Tyler Reddick, shoot, I picked him to win the title last year in RCR equipment. Who's to say he wouldn't be a contender again this year? And then even the two Penske guys. That's what jumps out at me, though, looking at the points, is that Logano and Blaney. Logano, the defending champ, they're +1 right now. They're both they're sharing that cut line. They are just barely to the good. Now, fortunately for them, I look at McDowell. He's been good, not great. Stenhouse, been okay, not great. Harvick, I don't trust Stewart-Haas. And Bubba, -8. Luckily for the two Penske guys, I don't think they're going to face a ton of opposition this first round. But boy, that's a precarious situation to still be in, especially with Kansas. And we know how much Bubba Wallace likes Kansas.
If I'm looking at it, I'm going to say 10 or 11. There's some for me that are just, I can't make the case for. And I know people are going to be upset at me. This is actually my backup hot take. I can't make a case for Blaney at this point. That's team, fair.
Yeah,
that team
I agree.
In the first 14, 15 races was one of the best in NASCAR. And they have, I believe, when you look at the unadjusted points, Blaney from the points lead to 13th.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I know he only has 4 top 5s, which is, I mean, pretty bad for a Penske driver.
Yeah.
How many times have I said this before? The first round of the playoffs never, ever sets up good for Ryan Blaney because of what usually happens to him at Darlington, Bristol. It used to be Richmond. Now we got Kansas in there in its place. I could even see, shocker, once again, Blaney gets out first round. It could even happen.
Yeah. And I just looking at this really quick poll too. I think they the chat mostly agrees with me. I said I felt like you can make a case for 6 drivers winning the championship, and they 53% are saying in the 4 to 8 range. They those are the number of drivers they can make a case for. But
no one's mentioned Kyle Busch yet, and I don't mean to take this. If you
I actually wanted to mention Kyle Busch.
My bad. Go for it.
Yeah,
Kyle Busch. Just like what Jarrett was saying about Alex Bowman, you never know which Alex Bowman you get. Same thing with Kyle Busch this season. I never know which Kyle Busch I'm going to get. You pick him 1 week to win, and he's crashed out in the first few laps. Or you don't have your eye on him, and he's going out, he's dominating a race at Gateway and winning it. So you don't know what Kyle Busch we're going to get this season, but he has proven to be capable of 3 victories this year. So that's a really good thing. And if that Kyle Busch comes out every race, then yeah, he's in the championship for Phoenix all day. But I just don't know what version we're going to get of him.
Well, and looking at the other end too, he's got 5 DNFs. The only other person that has more DNFs in the playoffs than Kyle Busch is Kyle Larson. That's another one. Kyle Larson, I can legitimately make a case that Kyle Larson can win the championship, and I can also make a completely legitimate case that he's going to be eliminated in the first round. It's insane.
Sad but true.
It's insane. I mean, his stat line this year is insane. 2 wins, 2 poles, 10 top 5s, 11 top 10s, 6 DNFs, has led over 600 laps. I mean, he is the epitome this year of checkers or wreckers.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm just
2003. I'm sorry, 2003 Ryan Newman type season. Sorry, Eric.
No, I'm just going to say this first round is just so interesting because we saw how Darlington ended in the spring with the 2 leaders crashing on one of the final restarts.
And if that happens and Larson struggles the other 2 somehow, then what do we got?
Yeah, true that.
Kansas is a very particular kind of track. And then Bristol. We only go there once now. Bristol is a wild card in many ways. What'll be interesting this year, though, is last year, if I remember correctly, we had a couple of favorites knocked out early. It was Reddick and Harvick got eliminated in the round of 16, and I think both of them were considered surprises. And both cases, well, I don't remember Reddick's now. Reddick, I know he blew a tire, I think, in one race. But I know in Harvick's case, that was the crappy-ass parts meme. We saw a lot of tire failures. We saw a lot of steering issues. I think if it was Darlington, right, Harvick had an issue, and I think like 2 Gibbs cars had issues in that race with steering issues. We haven't seen those kinds of technical glitches pop up on the next gen as much this season. So I predict there'll be 1 somewhat surprising elimination in the first round, but I don't think we'll have like 2 or even 3 like we've had in previous seasons.
Who one driver or even multiple drivers at the bottom 4 do you guys feel can make it to the next round?
I will go Harvick. I feel like Harvick's the easiest pick.
Well, yeah, I mean that is the easiest one. Let me see if I can find it.
Well,
I think outside of last year's crappy ass parts deal, him and Rodney Childers since he joined SHR have had like a 3.6 average finish at Darlington.
Yeah. No, Harvick's a good pick. I would also throw Bubba out there just because of Kansas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna actually be bold. I'm gonna say I think both Harvick and Bubba can make an ending. Harvick can do good in all these next 3 races and get him by that. Bubba, I think, could potentially be my pick to win Kansas next week. I'm not decided on that.
Yeah.
I could also then see if they go in Blaney out first round, and if they don't get their crap together like they had towards the end of the regular season, Ross Chastain could very well go out this first round.
It's true.
And I'll say this: I have no real confidence in Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He started the year so much better. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., in my opinion, is the weak link. If he makes it further, he is always going to be the first one people say will get eliminated.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah. All right. So that is the official playoff grid. We will see who the first 4 will be bumped out of the round of 16 are going to be in a couple of weeks, basically. So there's that. There's your official 2023 NASCAR playoff grid. We are officially at the top of the hour. Was able to stretch time there to make it exactly to the top of the hour, which means we have arrived to the first to the first super chat stage break of the evening. Jarrett, as soon as I start reading, you can start the timer. Thank you. Hunter Nixon Fixing, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. As a Harvick fan, these last 10 weeks are going to be emotional for me. Can't believe he's hanging it up in 10 more weeks. Hey, he could hang it up hoisting the championship trophy. You never know. You never know.
If you need advice, reach out to me, Hunter. You got me on Facebook, and I can tell you how I was a junior fan in 2017.
Yeah, there you go. Antar Das, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. I missed last week's episode live, so when I watched it back, it was blasphemy that Jeff wasn't top 3. Hot take: Gordon is the GOAT with the highest peak. I'll agree with the last part of the sentence. He definitely had the highest peak in NASCAR history, for sure. Definitely, for sure. But yeah, the top 75 list was last week, though. If you want to rewatch it after the show. Antar Das, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Hypothetically, or in as We're Gonna Lose would say, hypothetically, who's the greatest driver / crew chief pairing? He has Dale Earnhardt and Kirk Shelberdine, Jimmy Johnson, Chad Knaus, Richard Petty and Dale Inman, Jeff Gordon and Ray Everham. Who would win in each era of cars and strategy? I would say, yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, I would say the best is Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus. Me personally, that was.
I think I would agree, but
I'm going Ray and Jeff, just because Ray cut that time short to go and start his team.
He did.
Yeah, he did. Oh, but sometimes they could have done a whole lot more. They could have, for sure.
Danny, what do you think? Just Jimmy Johnson, checking.
Yeah, I heard Jimmy.
There
Johnson.
you go. There you go. Jimmy, thank you so much for being.
I can't think of anyone else. Sorry.
Yeah, Jimmy, thank you so much for being a channel member for 4 months. Hi guys, what are your 2023 playoff predictions? Well, it's still too early to tell, but I guess one prediction I made in the hot take was I think Joey Logano could be out of the round of 16 potentially.
Well,
so
one of my takes, I do think Blaney gets bounced in the first round.
Same.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
There you go. Isaac with the 2-hour super chat. McDowell supremacy for the championship 4, baby. At least he's in the playoffs. There you go. Thank you. Spencer Purcell, thank you so much for being a channel member for 26 months. Oh my gosh. As much months as a member as cup races, crazy. Oh yeah, because we ran 26. Yeah, that's funny. See what you did there. And there's Eric. Ross Crashtain, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. I'm glad Ryan is okay, but I gotta say that flip was very impressive. I see what you did there.
Oh my gosh, they're making a pun out of a scary flip crash.
Hey, he's okay. He's okay. Of course.
That's 3 minutes.
Yep. So we will end it off there. But yeah, that'll conclude the first super chat stage break of the evening. We'll read super chats at the very end of the show. Now moving on, we're going to go over certain ratings. First off, the TV ratings. Let's see. Hold on.
Well, I got it. The cup race got
okay.
1.8 in the rating department. And if you include the 114K on Peacock and the app, 3.382 million. Down 14% from 2021 in viewership, up 17% from 2020 because that was just a weird year. $835K in the key demo, which is 25.5, but round up 26% of the total audience, which for NASCAR is dang. Xfinity also got 972,000, where the trucks on Sunday at Milwaukee got 521.
All right. Yeah, the 26% being in that demographic is definitely high for NASCAR standards.
Yeah.
Not bad. Yeah, so not a bad weekend overall. Not a bad weekend. And we gotta continue with the ratings part, which means it's time for the poll, the famous iceberg poll on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. What were the poll ratings this week?
Well, I had asked what people thought of the 2023 Coke Zero Sugar 400, and 67% of you said it was a great race, which is actually higher than a lot of races we've done this poll for just positivity in general. 24% said it was good. So the net positivity, was it 24? No, 25% said it was good. So net positivity is 92%, which is, I believe, either ties or is the 2023 high. 6% said average, 1% below average, 2% said it was bad. So 3% net negative, not too bad. And shocker, Spencer got the first comment. Positive, negative, or meme?
I will go with meme.
Positive.
Meme.
All right, so what we got with this one, he says, I can pull it up. In narrator voice, in a world where the playoff field has been set, one will stand victorious after 10 weeks of racing action. Side note, I'm glad Ryan Preece was okay. That was vicious.
Oh, see, can't go wrong with the meme pick. Well, kind of, yeah.
Looking at some of the other ones. Top one here is from Brandon A1. You said it had everything you love about a Daytona race, multiple lanes, carnage, an intense finish, high stakes. As a Brad K fan, I'm extremely happy for Roush, and this team is officially a championship contender. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, he's a very happy Brad fan. Indeed.
Nice.
The Sloth Nerd says, my heart is still stopped after that flip. Been watching since 2007. Never saw a stock car get that high in the air live on TV.
Yeah, good point. Good point. And you've seen a lot of flips since then, too, since you've been watching in 07.
Striker31 says Brad Keselowski might just be one of the best driver owners ever. RFK is back. A lot of stuff about RFK.
Yeah. Happy.
Twister says best Daytona race in years. Let's see. Power of the Poof says, while we couldn't get a top. Yeah, type this better, buddy. It's edited.
I know what you mean.
While we couldn't get a P2 from the 16, the 77 was willed to their best finish of the year by the NWP chat. No doubt our power.
Hey, job, great. Yeah, chat seems like a smart pick now, chat. Good job.
Sumerian Lion says, season's over. Congrats to Truex. He won the championship.
Oh, come on, man.
I'm just saying, he's good. I'm not sold.
Yeah, nobody's really locked in yet.
I don't think that's what they mean, guys.
Oh, what did they mean? Oh, never mind. I was confused.
Know.
Yeah, I was confused for a second.
Let's
Tell
see.
me later. I'll keep my innocence, I guess. I don't know.
No, it's literally just they don't like the playoffs.
Got you. Okay.
OBG Gamer says, great racing, anticlimactic finish. UTP 216 says, except for that Priest wreck and Harvick losing it, was a great race. Let's get to the bottom. Let's get to the gutter.
Oh, the gutters.
We got 350.
What's the bad ones?
We got 350. Let's see. Can't read that one. Let's see.
We love the gutter.
Yeah.
Can read that one. No,
but I will choose not to.
Let's see. All right, here we go. We got him.
Finally.
Dixon Butt.
Oh man, dude, you ran into that.
Let's hear what Mr. Butt has to say.
Yeah, it was Mr. Butt had to say.
Let's see what Dixon has to say here. Worst season of NASCAR ever from a reputable source.
Okay.
Well, if Dixon Butt says so.
Yeah, then it must be true.
Yeah.
Bucket Foot Baseball says, yet another Daytona embarrassment to car racing. Oh, sorry, this is nothing. having to do with car racing about this place. It's strictly entertainment for Demolition Derby fans.
Oh man, so he doesn't like Daytona.
To
That's
each
obvious.
their own.
And then this one's topical for the last week's news. I Show Meat says, Bubba in, Chase out, love to see it, baby, with a bunch of ha-has.
Oh man, yeah.
Dang, rubbing it in.
Obviously, this user is a huge fan of
It's just
beef, ribs, stuff like that. They're very excited just to see.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and bricks.
true that. Yeah, true that.
And,
true that.
And that is, you know what, for once, it actually is the gutter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yep.
that was a
Gotta-
gutter right there.
We gotta clean ourselves off afterwards.
We get
but-
some leaf filter.
Yeah, for real. But once again, that'll do it for this edition of The Poll, the famous iceberg poll on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. Fellas, I mean, look, yeah, the Cup Series race was awesome and stuff, but we got 2 more races to get to here. So Xfinity race happened. Me and Danny, like Danny said earlier, we were at a WWE event in Louisville, RIP to the late Bray Wyatt. So we got to take that in. But Eric, you were at the race, and Jarrett, you watched. Eric, I'll start off with you. Just take us through the race, man. It was a pretty close finish.
Yeah, a few pretty big crashes. A couple things that stood out to me. Once again, the RCR cars were the best in the field. Man, I don't know what Sheldon Creed's got to do to win a race. But
Sell a soul, I guess.
My gosh. And Trevor Bayne. I picked Trevor Bayne to win, so I was watching him especially closely.
You're so close.
He was in the mix all night, led some laps, and he wrecked. There was a big wreck on a restart at the very end there. Still don't know exactly who was, but I think Bayne ultimately. I mean, Bayne said he threw a late block, but I think Hill jumping out when he did probably did get Bayne a little loose. But ultimately, it was a very aggressive move by Austin Hill. Not sure I would have made that move. It was a very high risk, moderate reward type move. Bayne, though, throwing the late block causes the wreck ultimately. That was disappointing. But no, great finish. Justin Allgaier, I didn't realize he'd never won at Daytona before, but it was a win that clearly meant a lot to him. And I always appreciate when a driver gets out of their car and it's not, just, hey, love it for my guys, let me put a big hat on. No, it's like, gosh, I've always wanted to win here. This is like a dream come true. This place means so much to me, my team owner, blah, blah, blah. Really appreciate that. So I respect it.
Totally didn't take a shot at Willie B there, huh?
I didn't even say his name. I didn't say anything.
Man, come on, bro.
What are you talking about?
Oh man. All right, Jared, what'd you think, bro? What'd you think?
Man, maybe you might get the heat off me from the Byron fans this week. I enjoyed it a lot. I think that the Cup race was better. I will say also it was a bit of redemption on Allgaier's part for the JRM meltdown at the start of the year.
That's right.
And then I think I saw somebody put basically the comment of, JRM didn't blow it because there weren't enough cars left to blow it. But I did want to point out the night, yes, didn't end out well for him, but Trevor Bayne was impressive. He looked like he hadn't missed a beat. Riley Herbst had a miserable night.
Man, and let me just bring that up. Isn't this the second week in a row he has some sort of mechanical failure, correct? So it's not because of him, because he was well on his way to making the playoffs, it seemed like. So it has nothing to do with him. Yeah, that's all the team.
This 98 team, whether it's their fault or not, has completely collapsed in the second half of the season. And it's the first half of the year up until about Martinsville, this team could not do any wrong. They were always between like 4th and about 8th every week, and they always got finishes there.
And the Xfinity program could be a sign of what we've been thinking all along in the Cup side of things. SHR in general, across the board, not looking like they're all the way there. At least in the past, like we've seen teams like RCR be great in Xfinity, not so much in Cup. Now they're kind of good on all sides now.
Yeah, that's true.
Herbst was angry over the radio. I didn't hear exactly what he said beforehand, but I think he had been reporting to the crew that there's something wrong with the car for a while. They left him out there and it blows up on them. I mean, he has every right to be upset with how that played out. Also, just kind of off topic, but I like this comment from Allie in the chat. Imagine first Cup season was won by a Byron, Red Byron, and then the 75th season gets won by a Byron as well. What are the odds?
Oh, yeah.
If that happens, be cool. He is one of the favorites. If that happens.
Yeah, that'd be cool. No relation, of course, but that'd be cool.
But I think the big highlight that people take away from the night, though, is Creed getting beat to the line by Allgaier by 5/1000ths of a second, which is tied for the 4th closest Xfinity finish ever.
Yeah.
It was tense. I was watching from pit road. I just happened to be standing by Sheldon Creed's pit box at the end of the race. I kind of looked over. I was like, oh, this is a good place to stand. Okay, let's watch the finish. And I think I posted a video. There's a couple of guys that quite literally dropped to their knees out of disappointment that they lost by that much.
You can't blame them.
It was a painful sight.
Yeah, I can't blame them. Yeah, that's sad. But for the most part, it looked like, at least from me looking at the leaderboards on the NASCAR app, that RCR pretty much dominated most of this race, right? Or no?
They were the best cars, but they didn't work together very well. The race got really competitive. Like, you had to kind of block multiple lanes. It was hard to always stay locked up to each other. But like, there was 2 or 3 moments where Hill just bailed on Creed for no real reason. Creed did the same to him. So, they both ended up, Hill got caught up in a wreck, which kind of took him out of contention to help Sheldon Creed at the end. And I think it's just, they were not working together as well as they probably should have been, considering how fast they were.
JGR was the team, like the overall team that worked together the best, had just as fast a cars, it looked like. And at one point, it was just the 4 JGR cars against the train. And they drafted their way up, side drafted, moved like just as a hive mind almost, just a unit. Everywhere the first one went, they all were in the same formation, and they made it from outside the top 10, I think, all the way into the lead. It was really impressive to watch, because don't very often you see 25, 30 cars get beat by 4 on the bottom line.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
They were a unit indeed. But yeah, I would love to see Trevor Bayne come back full time and some, or like at least do some more races.
They gave him 3 really good races. Like Daytona obviously didn't work out, but he was in the mix all night. He's got Bristol and Texas. And
He's wanted to win Bristol for a long
time. That'd be cool if he won Bristol.
I know Bristol matters to him a lot, and I know Texas historically was one of his best tracks. So
I remember watching.
He's got to really want to win Bristol.
Yeah, I remember watching him, like, this was back in 2006. This is just some random day. They were like showing Hooters Pro Cup races on Speed, and he happened to be driving in a Ford. I believe he was sponsored by McDonald's, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody correct me on that, but I remember he was sponsored by a major sponsor for that. And it happened to be at Bristol.
The 2011 race, he ran the Pat Summitt car, the Tennessee Orange car, put it on the pole for that Xfinity race. Did good, but didn't win it.
Yeah, unfortunately. But yeah, hey, come back full time or come back, do more races in some capacity. But yeah, so we're not done with the weekend quite yet. We had the historic return of the famous Milwaukee Mile, the first NASCAR race and, first Truck Series race since 2009. A whole generation of fans have watched NASCAR and have either never heard nor seen a single race there. So it's great to have it back, but Enfinger got the victory, but I feel like the bigger story was the penalties to Ty Majeski. Now, I guess this took away a certain part or something within the setup to where I guess
tire.
Oh, that's it. What?
That's not, that's not just it, but
what was wrong with the right rear tire? Because all I saw was there was a penalty. I was at the IndyCar race covered it.
We don't know. I think the section of the rule book they cited had something to do with the valve stems, but we don't know for sure what was wrong with it. But yeah, you got a 75-point penalty, 5 playoff points, and his crew chief is out for the next 4 races. But because he won at IRP a couple weeks ago, he's already locked into the next round of the playoffs. So that 75-point penalty really is moot. I was
just about to say, like,
the 5 playoff points will hurt. He loses the playoff points he would have got from that IRP win, and not having your crew chief for 4 weeks, basically up until Phoenix, is going to hurt a little. But I don't know. NASCAR takes, I think, any sort of infraction having to do with the tires or the engines, they take that stuff pretty seriously. But I mean, until they'll probably put the part out on display at some point in the next couple of weeks for the whole garage to look at. At that point, maybe we'll know what they did. For now, it's, I mean, I don't know if y'all heard Carson, host of our post race. I
heard it. Yeah.
I didn't see the TV interview or whatever, but he basically said, the 98 got their superpower taken away. So now we can race fair. And so did everybody know that this team, did somebody tip NASCAR off that, the 98's been screwing around?
I bet. And they're like, hey, look at this team, bro. They shouldn't be this dominant. What's going on here?
And it was pretty clear that they were not as fast as they normally are on these shorter shorter tracks.
He was, I think we all picked him to win, or most of us picked him to win at Milwaukee.
Most of us did. I don't think we all did.
based on what he did at IRP and Milwaukee. He's raced a ton at Milwaukee as well because he's from Wisconsin. Yeah,
Oh wait,
for
I
him to
didn't
run
pick him.
seventh.
I picked Zane Smith, and he was just nowhere to be found in that race.
Yeah, that was surprising.
Well, how
No
did
show.
Corey Heim do? I picked him. How did he
He was
do?
top 5,
Yeah.
I think.
Okay, not bad. But yeah, Enfinger wins. Of course he wins on the same week. They announced that the team will be shutting down. And I remember somebody tagging me in a tweet talking about they just won. Why would they shut down the team? Sir, this is a business, okay? And I'm sorry, just winning just doesn't really cut it as much anymore.
I think the other major story that kind of got brushed under the rug a little bit was that there was around 20,000 or so, which is pretty good for a truck crowd. I did hear from people who attended it was kind of a logistical nightmare.
Explain.
So, like the food lines and everything and water and all that were excessively long. It would take 45 minutes to an hour to get through, to the point where people just said screw it. I think they ran out of a lot of stuff really early, and it wasn't like a normal NASCAR race early. It was like right at the start of the race early. It was difficult for people to get in. So hopefully that they can change that stuff up and fix it, because it is the first race back in a long time.
I'm asking a dumb question here because I know it's fair season. Isn't this a fairgrounds too? Are they having a fair there right now?
I don't know off the top of my head.
I have no idea.
But you know what? It sounds like a lot like Coda the first year, because I remember staying in line forever.
It wasn't.
It wasn't?
No.
Damn.
From what it sounded like, it was
way worse.
What it reminds me of more is when I was at Richmond. When I was at Richmond in 2021, the concession lines were insanely long and insanely slow.
So that was Bristol during the pandemic, the All-Star race.
Yep.
They ran out of water before the green flag, at least
Yeah, that was
several
really
concession
sad.
stands.
Yeah, the closest I can think to that is just my experience at Coda, because I was like waiting for an hour for like cheese fries. It was bad. Oh man. But yeah, hey, look, it's their first race back. Hopefully they can, get all the logistics in order. They shouldn't lose a race because of that, but I'm sure, 20,000 people for a truck race, it's pretty good. And for a track that hasn't been on the schedule for a while, I'll take it.
Like Noah said in the chat, sorry, that's 10,000 less people than in Prosper, Texas.
Go ahead, Dan.
Claudia had obviously never seen a race at Milwaukee ever. She never knew about this track because she never been watching it to know.
See?
So when she saw this track, she said to me, she's like, wow, this track looks bigger than I thought it would be. She thought it could legitimately hold a cup race if they tried.
Well, hey, fun fact, Claudia, it once held an NFL championship game. Fun fact.
Well, I like the fact that on the restarts and throughout the runs, you could go to a higher line. That was really fun to watch. I do think that there's going to have to probably be updates, though, to the track if you're going to bring Xfinity or maybe one day Cup or IndyCar. I know that was one of the reasons why IndyCar took so long to go there, was that the track was very much behind. But I thought the racing was, for what the Milwaukee Mile was pretty serviceable. Like, it was not.
It was fun to see them have to literally drive the car around it.
Yeah.
I know it sounded really weird. They got to drive the car.
They got to drive it around.
Shit.
No. The one that
I'm driving out there.
No, the one that got me over the weekend was Jeff Burton. Yeah, you go in the corner and you want to turn left. No shit, Jeff. Really?
Oh, man.
I thought I turned into the wall.
I think it was Steve Letarte, and maybe it was a Denny Delivers thing that I saw. He's like, oh, he's turning left. Oh, he turned left.
Oh, I wonder why. You got to turn right to go left, right? No, you got to turn. Oh man, but hey, Milwaukee Mile's back. It's awesome. Just get the logistics together, So
That's a fun weekend.
Yeah, fun weekend overall.
I did get angry when they zoomed in on the pre-race show on what used to be called Miller Park. Remember what I said on the show last week? It's dead to me as long as they renamed that stadium.
We beat them 2-1 in the series. Cubs beat them 2-1 in the series today. So
there you go. There you go.
Good for you guys.
Yeah. But yeah, so that is the entire NASCAR weekend. Definitely one of the most memorable for sure. But we are now at that point in the show where we've had some heat, coming in the area and stuff. It's the summer's about to end, here real soon. But what hasn't changed is it's the round on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. Jarrett, what do we have on the list this evening?
Our poor Spotify listeners. Well, actually, I want to shout them out really quick because each week I like to run a poll with them. And I gave them the option here, asking of the 5 that we had as our top 5 greatest of all time, who would they vote for? Do you want me to go 5 to 1 or 1 to 5?
Start at 5. Start at 5.
Yeah,
Count us down to the big boy.
Yeah, there you go.
5th was David Pearson at 3% of the vote.
Okay.
4th at 15% of the vote, Richard Petty.
Oh my God!
Wow.
3rd at 16% of the vote, Jeff Gordon. 2nd at 24%, Jimmy Johnson, and with 42% of the vote, Dale Earnhardt got number 1.
Unanimously, Dale Earnhardt number 1.
Okay, yeah, that's the unanimous pick.
Not unanimous. What?
It was a
No,
plurality.
and ours and theirs.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
So, there's more people for our chat on the YouTube side to get mad at. The 2024 Daytona 500 has sold out its infield fan parking areas and fan areas outside of just the fan zone itself. As of last Wednesday night, right after we got off the show, Parker Kligerman will return to the 48 Xfinity car. And Carson,
he also didn't he also pass up? We didn't mention this. He passed up Herbst, I think, for that final playoff spot. Tentatively.
Yep, he did.
So.
He did. Yeah.
Carson Hocevar is the favorite to replace Ty Dillon in the 77 Spire car, according to Jordan Bianchi. We talked about it earlier about Colleague has a plan to announce for 31. Will be in the upcoming weeks.
Matty D.
The SRX is in talks with Saudi Arabia or Qatar, possibly hosting a race by the end of 2023 with 8 USA drivers, 4 host country drivers, and 4 drivers to be invited via Adam Stern. So 4 host country drivers, 4 sports washing drivers.
If you read Don Hawk's Twitter, it's not too much into it right now.
Yeah, but they're talking to them in money talks.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's such a weird
is.
The idea of a race like that happening is one thing. Say what you will about racing in Saudi Arabia or in that region of the country, but it's like so far removed from what the SRX's current brand is. It's
that's what I'm saying.
My thing about the SRX is like, their brand now is like, we want to be short track racing. We're the local short track. I'm like, we're good for it.
Yeah, we're small scale, intimate, kind of old school classic.
But year one, that's what the tracks they had. But year one, it was, we're bringing the fun back to racing. We're not like NASCAR. Oh shit, that doesn't work. Okay, we're short track. Right? Crap, that lower rate. The Middle East.
We're worldwide now. Yeah, that's just funny. They make the leap from local short track racing to race against Saudi Arabia.
Just watch the Olympics. They're going to partner with SRX. SRX will have the Olympic cars.
My question about if they go to Saudi Arabia, do they allow Haley Deegan to drive?
Hey, legit question though. Legit.
It's true.
Legit question.
They did just legalize women driving a couple years ago, so they're making progress.
Let's get off this subject.
Man, bro. Hey, yeah, it's a good question.
And we're getting off this subject like the CIA. Anyway, Brandon Jones will return to JRM next year, and Matty D will not for Rackley War. Let's see. This is new. Lionel will be opening a second retail store at Opry Mills Mall in Nashville. Friday, September 1st.
Hey, you might see us there.
I could have
down the road.
I could have swore they were opening up a store in October.
Oh no! So Danny explained that to me.
They officially open they have a grand opening in October, but they actually open on Friday.
Yeah, it's like a small opening.
Are y'all going to the ribbon cutting ceremony?
Yeah, probably.
I'll try to. I'll try and be there this Friday.
Yeah.
Charlotte Motor Speedway has opened up their campgrounds for hurricane relief. That's good.
That's good.
There's some rumors that have spawned from the Spotter podcast. One of which is that Richmond will be getting a doubleheader and Sonoma will be in the spring. And Chris Rice says there's going to be a change in the 2024 schedule that fans aren't going to like. Well, that could be anything because we don't like anything.
Yeah, you could announce anything. The Sonoma in the spring, I'm a big fan of. I think I put that in my video a few weeks ago that I think it should kind of slide into where Auto Club previously was in the West Coast swing. The Richmond doubleheader, I'm not a fan of it, but if this is NASCAR's way of adding an off week during the Olympics next year, it may be a necessary evil.
I mean, prime time, not on FS1 USA, but primetime Monday night on Big Fox or Big NBC, NASCAR.
Ooh, Monday night. Didn't even think about that.
That's not a bad TV night. I mean, you see Monday Night Football, obviously, but historically, it's not bad for TV compared to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, which there's a reason NASCAR doesn't race Friday. That's the dead night. Anything you put on Friday night on a regular basis, you are willing to let die. So those 4 weekdays, but it's like Monday is like that extension of the weekend almost TV wise. I want to see that tried. But I know the rumor is a Thursday night Richmond race is at least a rumor. That was a couple weeks ago. So
because SRX has proved it's such a success.
Oh, totally. The schedule will be released in the next 2 to 4 weeks. Bob did kind of allude to it being in the later part of that, probably 3 or 4 weeks from now.
It'll probably be 6 weeks.
Yeah.
We'll get it by the end of the year.
If we get it by Halloween, I'll consider us lucky.
Watch, we have to wait until the final race of the season. Please don't. Please don't. Please.
Yeah,
don't.
I need to make my plans for next year, at least an outline. But
yeah.
Last little bit here, a legend of the sport, Kurt Busch, has officially retired from NASCAR, which I believe means the last driver in the Cup field who raced against Dale Earnhardt has officially retired.
End of an era.
Yeah.
End of an era.
I used to hate Kurt Busch. Like he was, I hated the outbursts, the craziness. I hated that he won a lot. I hated all that, and like the arc he made in his career, man. I don't think there's any like villain to hero arc in NASCAR the way Kurt Busch had. So
I think maybe we can just talk about him briefly and stuff. Yeah, without question, a future Hall of Famer. This announcement, I mean, like we saw it coming. I understand why he didn't want to do it right away last year. You know, still wanted to hold out hope, but hey, at the end of the day, health's more important. And you know, he's a champion, and he will be a future Hall of Famer. Hey, maybe someday he could get involved more. You know, within the team. I know he's doing stuff for 23XI, but hey, maybe as an owner someday. You never know.
Kurt Busch will continue to make 23XI better, as he's made pretty much every team he ever went to better almost instantly. So great driver, quite the turnaround in his career, especially the last 5-10 years. Good for him.
Yeah, Kurt Busch, you know, think back to like where he was at the beginning of the 2010s, and you know, many people would have thought it's over. You know, he's never going to be the same, and you know, his redemption story is one of the greatest in all of NASCAR.
And I'm loving the quotes people are putting from him in the past. I think one of our first moments that actually made it to like other social media and stuff was us replaying a Kurt Busch quote. Run the effing back straightaway, effing Einstein.
My favorite quote. Why the F did I pit? F. Yeah, that will forever. And you know what? I know he was going through.
By the way, that stream did. I went back because one of them we had that was on my channel, and I went back and looked, and it was like demonetized. It's like unless you take out the audio in this. I'm like, 4 or 5 years. I don't care.
Yeah, no, it's all good. but yeah,
that's it.
All right, and that'll conclude this edition of the famous lightning round on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. And now back to the show. Holy crap, we're at this point of the show already. Oh my gosh, it's been forever, man.
Yeah, this has been a quick week.
Yeah, hey guys, remember we don't have a top 75 list anymore, and not as many news stories to talk about.
Now we're gonna give you our top 100 Xfinity drivers of all time.
Yes,
the best fried chicken rankings. Let's go. Number 10.
Let's go. All right, top 10 worst drivers of all time. Number 1, Tia Norfleet. There you go. All right, but yeah, so we are now at that point in the show where we give our previews of the races and stuff, man. It's felt like forever since we've had it happen this early in the show.
Feels like forever we've been talking about it. Get to it, man.
We gotta extend some time.
But Jared, I want to talk about why it's been so long for us to have a long episode like this.
I want to beat the Watkins Glen race.
Oh yeah, hour 58. Let's go, Darren. Go faster, faster.
Well, the Darlington preview. Yes, the weekend notes. Carson Hocevar will be in the number 42 Cup car. That'll be exciting to watch. Kyle Larson will be in the number 17 Xfinity Series car. Chat, keep that in mind for picks. And JGR is swapping the number 20 and 54 pit crews for the playoffs. Ooh, very interesting indeed, because those 54 crews.
So you're saying really that Carson Hocevar could potentially be driving 2 of Ty Dillon's last Cup rides?
Damn, yeah, you're right. Could be
The ultimate super sub.
for sure.
I think we know Need for Speed and the chat's favorite new favorite driver.
Yeah, we see that for sure. All right, but yep, the Cup race. Let's talk about the Cup race. The weekend notes for the Cup race. The Cup race name is called the Cookout Southern 500. Cookout is without a doubt the greatest fast food place in the world, in my opinion. 367 laps in total. The stage is 115 for stage 1, the same for stage 2, and 137 for the final stage. The start time is 6 p.m. Eastern. 6 p.m. Eastern time on USA. You can also listen to it on MRN. The weather that Sunday, 86 degrees, sunny, 2% chance of rain. So knowing NASCAR's luck, it'll rain.
Well, they're actually having I believe the hurricane rolling through today and tomorrow, and it'll be out by Friday.
Nice. Well, there we go. Finally having some luck. There we go. About time. The defending race winner is Eric Jones. Let's see if he pulls off for the second year in a row. Xfinity race name. The Sports Clips Haircuts VFW Help a Hero 200. That is quite the man. That is quite the name.
But
Man.
it's a good cause though.
But we speak corporatese with our name.
True that. 147 laps in total. Stages 45 for stages 1 and 2. 57 laps for stage 3. The start time is 3:30 p.m. Eastern time on USA. You can also listen to it on MRN. The weather for that Saturday's race, 82 degrees, mostly sunny, with also a 2% chance of rain. Yes, NASCAR getting lucky with the weather. And the defending race winner is Noah Gragson.
Oof.
Yeah, so obviously won't get it this year, but maybe he might have a shot at it in 2024. But yeah, let's go over the betting odds. Darian's famous betting odds on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. Let's go over the favorites. This isn't a surprise. Martin Truex Jr. is the favorite at plus 500. Kyle Larson plus 600. Both William Byron and Danny Hamlin both plus 750. Ross Chastain is plus 1100. As for the best of the rest, also tied with Ross Chastain is Christopher Bell at plus 1100, Kyle Busch plus 1200, Tyler Reddick plus 1300, Kevin Harvick plus 1500, along with Chris Buescher. As for the underdogs, hey, Chase Elliott. Hey, if you want to put some money on him, they have him at plus 1700. So hey, not a bad steal there.
Can I interrupt you for just a moment?
Go ahead.
All it took for Chase Elliott to stop being in the top 4 of the betting odds every single week is for him to officially not be a playoff driver.
I think they understood.
Immediately the better, everyone just said, nope, never mind. Now we're done.
Yeah.
It's not fun to pick him anymore.
Well, I think it was more that the sports books wanted people to like have a reason to put money on him, knowing that he probably wasn't going to actually.
Yeah, true that. Yeah, true that as well. Bubba Wallace is plus 2,800. Alex Bowman plus 5,000. That is way higher than Chase Elliott. Michael McDowell at plus 8,000. And I put this last one in just for fun. Carson Hocevar is plus 15,000 to win the race. So if you want to put $1 or $2 and hope for a miracle, there you go. There's your bet. So yeah, those are the betting odds. And let's move on to what is now becoming my favorite segment, going over the NWP Fantasy League pick points. And you are about to find out why this is my favorite. In P1 is Sean 48NY, but in P2 is Black Flags Matter. Yep, I am right there for the championship. P3 is Denny Delivers. Hey, 2 guys right there. P4 is Trevor Sports 98. And rounding out the top 5 is the NASCAR Bear. What's going on, Trevor Sports? You're starting to slack. Come on, let's become a 2-time champion. Go back to back. Let's go here. Now, as for the second NWP Fantasy League, JC_43 has a less than a 10-point lead, actually 8 points exactly, over Race Roar 48. In P3 is Room HMS. P4 is 42 Larson 5. And in P5 is Black Flags Matter. So without question, I have the best average spot of all the standings, so that's good to see. Now to my least favorite segment, the pick points, but I know it's Eric's favorite segment, of course. So yeah, let's go over the pick points really quick.
Favorite.
The chat as well. Yep, the chat has a total of 440 points, and you are still the points leader. So that Ty Dillon pick turned out to be a stroke of genius because you ended up doing better than me and Jarrett's pick, according to the chat. That's what they said.
I love the butthurt salt from everybody who claims that we rigged a poll because
y'all voted.
Yeah.
You had every chance to not do that.
It was 50% for both Brad and him. So sorry. And it's not
We
like
didn't
we invited
control.
anyone. Yeah, we don't control.
We didn't control you clicking the 77 voting option.
Yeah,
and
it
I love
turned
the
out,
salt, baby. That's all, guys. I love it, man. It's funny as hell to me.
And it turned out to still be a good pick. I mean, you only lost 1 point to Eric. Now you're minus 15. In P3 is Jarrett at minus 44. I am in P4 minus 47. And Danny's P5 minus 53. So still pretty close for it being, the beginning of the playoffs.
Someone said poor Danny at the caboose. I mean, Danny ain't been minus 53 at this point in the year in forever. So I'll take it.
Yeah. It's usually what, like minus 200 or minus 150 or so. Yeah, something crazy like that.
I think one year it did get to like minus 2 something, but yeah, it's I don't know. We're one crazy Talladega weekend away from this being completely blown wide open.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. So let's get right into the picks. Let's start off with Xfinity. We might as well. I mean, Eric, who's your pick?
Well, first I want to remind everybody, Larson's in the 17, Denny Hamlin is in the 19, and I believe Kyle Busch is in the 10. I don't think I'm missing any other Cup regulars, but there are some ringers, so to speak, in the Xfinity race. That being said, I'm going with lucky number 17, Kyle Larson. I think the rest of you guys might be agreeing with me on that.
Yeah, we might as well get it over with. Yep, and the chat picks Kyle Larson. Yep, it's over. Everyone picks Larson, so nobody gains anything for the Xfinity Series race. So everyone stays put. There you go.
Everyone's picking Kyle Larson.
It's definitely
Honestly,
Larson.
Now I want to pick somebody else because I was like 50-50 on Larson.
Yep, we are locked in.
Yep, too late.
Right.
Once it's locked in,
unless your pick is like me last week and Kyle Busch wasn't on the entry list all of a sudden.
I love how like he was on the entry list until Wednesday night at like 6:30.
They didn't update it. Yeah, come on, NASCAR app. Y'all got to update.
Like they had the Darlington one and Daytona switched.
Yeah. But yeah, so now we move on to Cup. Eric, who's gonna suck?
So I want to pick a playoff driver for this, and I hate to pick on this guy, but man, it's kind of sad when I still think of Darlington. I think of that 2020 pandemic race that everyone was hyping up, and what happened on lap 2? Tricky Ricky. Oh no! I'm gonna go Stenhouse. Stenhouse is my suck pick.
I'm not going to limit it just to playoff guys. This guy sucked all year. I picked him to be in the playoffs. This is my revenge for him proving me wrong. Austin Cindric.
All right. And I'm going to go with the guy I talked about at the very beginning of the show. Joey Logano is my suck pick. Whether it's going to be, whether it's by, having a bad run due to performance or just some crappy parts failure, I think he's going to be down for the count this weekend. And Jarrett, what is so funny?
I think the chat's making sure they don't pick Ty Dillon this week.
Yeah,
that's what I was laughing at.
That's smart. Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah.
Right, Danny?
It's funny, Eric mentioned that 2020 race. My suck pick actually nearly won that one, actually. But the last time we were at Darlington, he sat in the pit box right beside of us. And I don't think Alex Bowman is going to do good, especially not being in the
Danny,
playoffs.
you're an Alex Bowman fan. This is not the Cleveland Browns. You don't need to pick them to lose every week.
The Cleveland Browns.
Of course I do.
I'm convinced Danny, he's like actually got money against Bowman every week. Like it's some corrupt system that's caused him to turn on his driver.
Something.
No, Eric, I turned heel. That's what happened. I turned heel a long time ago.
Turned Dominic from WWE. There you go.
But yeah, Chat definitely had Ty. So
yeah, Ty Dillon. Hey, I get it, Chat. I get it. You want to be safe. I get it. All right. Now moving on. Who is this week's underdog, Eric?
Jarrett kind of spoiled my underdog pick earlier in the show, but Kevin Harvick historically has been very good at Darlington, and I think those parts this year not quite as crappy as last year, so I think Harvick will have a solid run on Sunday.
Well, I'm going to go with the guy that I was standing in the pits with his pit stall at the end of Darlington in the spring. He got a top 5, has run pretty well there. Team's getting a bit better. I don't think he's going to be the easy out necessarily. He might not make it past the first round, but he's not going to be the easy out everybody says he will be. I'm going to go Bubba Wallace.
I will go. Well, hold on.
You went Bubba Wallace.
Pick. Oh, I went. Okay. There we go. So I didn't know if I
was leading you in, man. Come on.
I forgot if I picked Bubba or Ty Gibbs. But yeah, Bubba Wallace. Yeah, I think
You,
he'll have a solid performance.
You hit that tee about as good as you did that baseball in that game.
Yeah.
I think he hit the baseball better. At least he was near it.
We don't talk about that. Well, sometimes we talk about it.
Oh, dude,
dude,
you're coming up to a baseball family this weekend. We will talk
Oh
about
yeah,
it.
you don't talk about it. Yeah, maybe I can give him some lessons on how not to do it. There you go. All right, Danny.
My underdog is Eric Jones. Like, he did good.
Yeah, he did good last year.
I think you and the chat are agreeing on that one. I mean, I saw a lot of 23s pop in, but 43s have been in the entire time.
We might as well give him Jones. There you go. There you go. So it is Eric Jones, indeed. And now for the main event. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna win this weekend at Darlington, Eric?
The Southern 500 is going to Martin Truex Jr. Led the most laps. I think he led the most laps here in the spring. He led over 100, I believe. Truex starts the playoffs off strong. I think he's a championship favorite.
Race winner, MTJ.
Race winner, MTJ.
Race winner, sweep, Kyle Larson.
Okay.
That was good. That was good.
That was good. You got me. You got me. All right. So what's the chat? So I'll create a poll just in case.
You might have to get ready
I think
with
they're
one.
going to Truex.
Oh, are they going with Truex?
I think they're
I've seen
leaning
a few
Truex.
Larson, but it's mainly 19.
Okay.
I've seen some 24s as well.
Well, there's some 5s. You might want to do 5 and 19.
Okay, so it looks like
Put a 24 in there too. 5, 19, 24. And then if it's like really even, I think they're gonna go 19 though.
All right, 5, 19,
boring
24.
week for them. Thank you, Danny, for making it interesting.
See, this is how I either go to deep basement or I come back.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, knowing the way this year's trend is, you might be coming back with the way that nobody's been able to pull away from anybody.
Yeah, it's been extremely competitive indeed. But yeah, so that'll do it for the pick segment. Chat, while I read the rest of these super chats, choose wisely, chat. Choose wisely. All right.
It's the poll for a second. There was 33% all across the board.
Oh, damn, that's crazy. All right, so let's scroll back up to the super chats. There we go. All right, let's continue. Tyler McGonigal, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. What non-fatal NASCAR wreck still gives you chills when you watch it? Everyone's opinion. Mine is 2020 Newman. Can't use that one now. Love you, Jared. Actually, I'm gonna use that one. Yeah, it's 2020 for sure.
I mean, I still think about the Austin Dillon. I remember I was watching the Austin Dillon catch fence crash. I was with my grandparents and my dad, and my grandparents didn't really watch NASCAR, and like I was shocked because I'm like, oh, I've been kind of explaining how the race works, what they can expect, and then that happened. I'm like,
yeah,
I think he's probably okay. It got dark real fast.
I was going with that one too because when you rewatch it, he's out of the car in like 2 minutes. But I don't know about you guys, but watching that live. So I was with my grandpa. Him and I were watching. Junior wins. We're celebrating, and we stop because we heard the first thing you hear is not woo we won, is oh my god, that looked awful, and it felt like 20 minutes before he got out. It was like probably 2, and that was one where I was like, oh my god, did we just watch another driver die at Daytona in the 3 car? Because at first it looked like he went roof first into the fence, and that one for me, I'm getting chills thinking about it right now. That was terrifying to watch.
Yeah, for me, I'm not even gonna do a NASCAR race, but also, hey, I just gotta say, I can't use this because I wasn't watching it live, but a lot of people are saying the 2000 Jeff Bodine wreck at Daytona. Yeah. That's a good one. But I didn't watch that live. What I did watch live and in person though was not NASCAR, but it was the Bristol Legends race in 2010. Larry Pearson and Charlie Glotzback. Great idea. We got 50 to 80-year-olds racing souped up late models. Looking back at that.
One that's not me, but a crazy crash I know that my grandpa and my uncle were at was 2003 Talladega Fall. They were sitting on the backstretch when Sadler did that flip, because back then the backstretch tickets, there's like 50,000 seats they could fit in there, so they just sold them for like $15 a pop. Like you just $15, walk up to the gate, you get backstretch seats, and so they got to see that like right there in person. I'm not jealous of that because I'll be honest, I don't like seeing flips in person. But that, I mean, to talk about a historic moment to see in person.
For
Yeah,
sure.
I still remember the Larry Pearson one. Pearson literally, his car came to rest right in front of me, my dad, and I could literally see in the back of that car like he's not moving.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, just a really quick fun fact involving me with that whole Austin Dillon wreck. I was actually on vacation in Virginia, and of course, I was not used to East Coast time, and I think the race started at like midnight one. I fell asleep, bro. I couldn't. But then I wake up, check my phone. I'm like, whoa!
I
My
fell
God.
asleep because I had to go work at a Bass Pro Shop
Yeah,
the next day,
I fell
and then
asleep.
I woke up like Junior won, yay! Oh, what happened?
Oh, what happened? Yeah, exactly.
I stayed up for it, and I was like adrenaline pumping because between that and Junior winning, like I was maybe asleep at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
I had to be at my high school for the first day of senior cross country practice at 6:30 in the morning.
Oh
And I
God.
get there, and everyone's like, "Jared, did you see that crash?" Yeah, I did, and I had to
I watched
explain all
it.
of it to him. And man, that I'm glad he walked away because in hindsight now,
Mhm.
it's such a wild story to talk about.
Yeah, I went to King's Dominion the next day. But yeah, thanks for the super chat. Yeah, we went extra on that. But hey, it was worth it for sure. NASCAR Sun 2414. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Hey, NWP guys, Danny B and Darian, how's it going? It's going well. I was at the Milwaukee race. Eric, how was Daytona? Disappointed chat didn't vote Brad K last week. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
Nice to see you too.
Yeah, I'm sure he says hello as well. Jam underscore.
Hey, you're included in NWP, guys. You're
there
part
you
of
go.
that.
Yeah, there you go. Jam underscore plays underscore games. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Shout out to the Mad Lad at Daytona who played the old Indy 500 Delta Force theme over the track PA system during the warm-up laps for Xfinity. Oh yeah, that is a classic. That is a classic. More racetracks should play that for sure. Shorty PMG with the $5 super chat. Y'all saw this coming. And has the crying and celebrating emojis. Reddick's hug killed me. Oh yeah, because they hugged each other after, since they both made the playoffs. I'm drawing him in a NASCAR IG art project. My ideal championship fours are the 12, 22, 23, and 45. Oh, a lot would have to happen with that. A lot would have to happen with that. But hey, we've seen crazier things happen. So, or have we? I don't know. We're gonna find out. NASCAR's son, NASCAR's on 2414. Yeah, my bad. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Jarrett, what did you think of my 2025 NASCAR Cup race schedule? And like or hate, Kurt Busch will be missed. Yes. Or I think he means if loved or hated, Kurt Busch will be missed. But yeah, what did you think of his schedule? If you saw it.
I can't recall. I'm sorry.
I can't recall. Oh man, I'm sure it was good. I'm sure it was good though.
Yeah, one thing I like about NASCAR fans is we obsess over the schedules, so we usually have some good ideas no matter how wacky or out of the way they are. So I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Will Griffin with the $5 super chat. This might sound dumb, but Chase looked relieved that he's not under the playoff pressure anymore. By the way, is 2016 Stewart better than 2023 Chase Elliott? Absolutely not. 2023 Chase Elliott, and I don't know about that first one, man. I feel like everyone's, like whenever you miss the playoffs, it's a pretty big deal. Everyone wants to win the championship, but hey, he didn't get it done this year, but hey, he'll be back next year, I'm sure.
I think he knows that the team is still in the playoffs. So
yeah, the owners.
At the end of the day, he's the only one really getting screwed in this whole deal. And I think he owns that. He's like, yeah, I know I got hurt. I went out and went skiing. I got hurt. So it's on me. But at least I think he's relieved that the team still is in the owners playoffs. Okay. That'd be my guess. I don't know. That'd be my guess.
Yeah, that's fair. Napa Racing Fan 927 with the $5 super chat. NBC has reruns of American Ninja Warrior and America's Got Talent during the Southern 500. If news is an issue, start at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Should be on NBC, not USA. Hey, it's the deal. It's the agreement they signed. There's a reason IndyCar has more NBC races. Better negotiating.
Blame Brian France. I mean, he did most of the negotiating for the last deal. They negotiated for what was there. And at the time, it seemed like a smart deal because cable sports channels were good. Was not forward thinking in any way, really. Which, to be fair, NBC has added more network races each of the last 2 or 3 years. That's so good. I can't hate on them too much that every race is an NBC race yet.
Groovy Goose with the 2 hour super chat. Survived a hurricane today. Thanks for the streams. Oh boy. Well, thank goodness you made it to see.
Stay safe.
Yeah, stay safe, bro. Will Griffin with the $5 super chat. As a Chase and HMS fan, I'm fine with what Brad did. My did. Oh, well, this is what it says. My did as a Blaney fan, and she's I don't know what you're trying to say.
Someone's a Blaney fan.
Yeah, but someone's a Blaney fan, and she screamed, then froze after his hit. Looks so much like Dale's wreck. Yeah, that's what we talked about. I agree. Yep, safety has come an extremely long way. Alex Luft with the $5 super chat. Eric mentioned the roof flap coming off of Priest's car. I remember that happening to Harrison Burton during last year's Daytona 500. Yeah, I remember that too. Yeah,
The roof flap or the roof hatch?
Or,
I know
yeah.
those are, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't remember
things actually.
I don't remember if the roof hatch came loose on Burton's flip. But I
Yeah.
have to go back and rewatch. I'll do that right now,
true.
actually.
Yeah, there you go. Joseph Knuckles with the $5 super chat. Going to the Bristol night race. Are any of you guys going? And what are some good parking tips? No, I'm not going. But Danny, tell him what the good parking tip is.
I'm not going either. It's Tennessee, Florida game, and I got a tournament that day. But if you drive a Toyota, park at the Toyota lot, you'll get free parking. Or if you don't drive a Toyota, it's just $20. And it's basically right there at the track, right by all of the tent vendors. Bring plenty of money, bring plenty of cash with you, and keep a close eye on all of those tent vendors. Take multiple trips down through them because you never know who's going to have what deal at any given time.
Exactly. Thank you for the tips, Danny B. Mark Martin fan for life. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. As NASCAR fans, we complain, but the new car did its job. Those 2 wrecks could have been more serious, could have led to more serious injuries, or even worse, could have been fatal. But both drivers appear to have walked away. Kudos for that. Yes, sir. Indeed. But you can't stagnate with safety. Whatever we can do to improve it, whatever little things we can do to improve it, I'm all for it. And he's also been a channel member for a month, and he says, hot take, Bubba makes the round of 8. Yeah, a lot of hey, you never know. You never know with these playoffs. You never know.
The roof hatch appeared to stay on Harrison Burton's car.
Okay.
Just
thank you for confirming. Appreciate it. A Prada with the $20 super chat. To Eric's point, the Daytona 500 has been a crapshoot since 2017. In 2004, 2005, or 14, you could tell who had the best car, and they would stay ahead. They would stay ahead of trouble. Now it's hard to tell who has the best car in the 500. Too many templates. Yeah,
there's a little coinky dink with that ear.
Let's move on. Video game sports. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat, Eric. Who's your favorite? What does it say? Who's your favorite Papa M?
I saw this one earlier.
Yeah. What does that say? Pop.
It's a ghost. Band question.
The band. Oh, okay. Well, you saw it. Who's your favorite?
I would go 3, but I like 4. Okay, I didn't like I thought Cardinal Copia just was fine.
Okay.
I'm glad he has a full costume now. Let me put it that way.
When was 3?
Like 2015 through 17 or 18.
Okay,
I think
that's okay. That's the one I'm thinking of that I saw in concert in 2016.
I've seen 3, Copia, and 4, and I like them on. They're all good. It's just different costume. Oh, okay. No, I'm sorry. It's a completely different character. It's a whole lore backstory.
Yeah. Matthew Brown with the $10 super chat. HMS fan here. The Larson fan in me wants championship number 2, but the Byron fan in me is showing more and more as the heir to Jeff Gordon. The kid is scary good, and how he puts in work on and off the track, he's ready. Hey, he thinks he's ready to take the next step and win the championship.
Do you think they'll have big championship hats?
Oh man, they better have them. The biggest they've ever been. Austin with the $5 super chat. Between this week's controversy and how NASCAR handled the multiple Bubba Wallace situations, I genuinely believe NASCAR hates its core audience. Okay, interesting. And he left another super chat at $10. The sanctioning body needs to remember that the sports fan base is about 70% Christian. Oh God. Hey, bro. I'm not. Look.
Just for that, keep racing on Easter, baby.
Yeah, I'm not reading all this. Well, here's another one he left. It has nothing to do with that, thankfully. Quick discussion. Who in the playoff field do you think is a dark horse to get to Phoenix to the championship race? There we go. We love more questions like that. Really quick, guys. Go. Dark horse for the championship 4. Busher? Okay. And who else?
Just
Would Reddick count?
Yeah,
I'd say so.
I would count him. Yeah, I count him.
I'd say
Never
Reddick.
been
'Cause
there.
I'd say Reddick because I like having Vegas and Miami. I think Miami, especially in that second to last round, he has a shot.
I'll say just because of the clutch experience, and I'd never want to count him out till he's completely out. I'll go Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, I'll go with Harvick as well. Marky Mark with the $5. Oh, go ahead.
They could do what they did last year and flip on the gas, and who knows about Ross Chastain. I think he's out this round, but he could not be.
Hey, you never know. Marky Mark with the $5 super chat. In before Kyle Busch blows an engine at Darlington with less than 30 to go. Oh yeah.
Oh, not again.
That was pretty crazy last year. Thanks for reminding us. Rowdy8 diecast with the $5 super chat. I believe KFB can make it to the final 4, but I could also see an early elimination. They have speed every week, but always either bad luck or mistakes. Oh yeah, I remember Kyle Busch tweeted, "I just don't know what to do anymore." I wonder if we'll get a tweet after that. So we'll see.
So dramatic about it.
Yeah. Mark Martin fan for life. Thank you so much for another $5 super chat. I'm pretty sure every year of the playoffs has had at least one top 8 driver eliminated in the first round. Who do you think it'll be this year? If I were to pick out of the top 8,
it could be Kyle Larson.
Yeah, Kyle Larson. I'll go with Kyle Larson.
Top 8, I would go Chastain because he's 8th, I believe.
I would say Chastain off of logic, but stupid stuff happens to Larson this year.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
That is true. It could be, it's either one of them for me.
Yeah, either Larson or Chastain. I'll go with that too. Need for Speed 5353. Been a channel member for 4 months. Thank you. Ty Dillon was so damn close to a top 10. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He was. Yes, sir. Austin with another $10 super chat. And let me be clear because my point can be misconstrued from earlier. I have no problem with drivers/crew members of any background being in the sport. But you should. Okay. All right. Well, look, thank you for the first part. Okay. I don't agree with that other part. Groovy Goose with the $5 super chat. Probably poor wording for it, but I noticed this gen card tends to bounce or get more air when flipping. Why is that? Or is it just me?
Flat underbody.
Y'all are the best.
Flat underbody probably helps helps the lift as soon as it gets off center.
I'm sure it does. I also think the center section is very sturdy. Maybe it's quite literally like bouncier. I don't know. Like it doesn't give as much. It just kind of deflects. Maybe that's probably minimal, but.
Yep. Austin with another $5 super chat. I'm still big mad at y'all for not having Jeff over Jimmy last week. We can fight. LMAO. Love y'all though.
Why are you mad at me?
Oh,
come on. I put him second, man. Don't lump me in with these 3. They're not. They're
yahoos.
Yahoos.
So we're these 3 now. Huh?
Yes, you are. You're the super chat. You're the super chat 3.
Oh.
Austin with another $2 super chat. Damn, he's been super generous. Thanks, bro. R.I.P. Bray Wyatt. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And R.I.P. to Terry Funk as well. Nicholas, thank you so much for becoming an official BFM channel member. Appreciate it. Sean with the $5 super chat. Hey, it's Sean. I'm in the top 100 in the entire fantasy. There you go. Well, there's only 100, so thank goodness.
Well, I mean, if it counts both too.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, in the entire never mind. Oh my gosh. Great job. No, that's way harder than doing it in a league. My bad. No, that's awesome. Great job. That's cool. That's really hard to do. Congrats. If I do win overall, which I might, it's all thanks to you guys. Plus, I'll give y'all a big surprise. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, hopefully the our picks and stuff, our odds have helped you out. Thank you so much, bro. Really appreciate it. Groovy Goose with the $5 super chat. Idea. This should be good. If NASCAR wanted to do a companion program during races, like what Monday Night Football does with Peyton Manning, I'd love to see Kurt Busch in a similar role. That'd be interesting. That'd be interesting. Maybe if the sport grows more in a few years, maybe, I don't know, maybe because it's such a niche following, maybe, or
if you were to do that, you have to have people who can be outspoken and disagree with the company line.
You can't toe the line.
I think having people like I would like Kurt Busch, but I feel like Kurt Busch would be very quiet on Toyota and 2311 issues.
There's that. I also like. I think Kurt Busch would be okay on TV, but he would not be great like kind of off the cuff, more casual. Like if you listen to him talk these days, it's been this way for a few years. It sounds like he's like reading like a speech every time he talks.
Yeah.
Well,
in an interview or even when he's on TV.
He probably wants to avoid that forever.
Yeah. Well, it's just even listening to him during his press conference this weekend. Like at one point, he was literally reading a statement, which was fine. But then he was answering people's questions, and it was just something about the cadence in his voice. It sounded like he was like running for president. Like it was almost like he was at a podium giving a prepared to like. Again, he's good with his words. I'm just saying, like tonally, I don't think he would fit with the man.
If Dale Jr. wasn't already an established TV guy at this point, he would be perfect for something like that.
Exactly.
I would like for the outspokenness part, Tony Stewart, just because if there's a BS debris caution or if a Goodyear tire or there were some tire problems, Tony Stewart's own cast would be gold to watch.
If he was actually honest, because when he's on Fox, he's dry. I think he's really underwhelming.
Away from the actual broadcast and have him do something like that. Then he can be as goofy as he wants.
Yeah.
Goofy.
Alex left the $5 super chat. Would you guys bring back Jimmy Spencer for NASCAR Race Hub? I love the crying towel. Absolutely.
No, we need Jimmy Spencer to do this Manning cast.
Yeah. Have Jimmy Spencer do that. That's perfect.
I'd take Spencer cast. But not on Race Hub today. It's too corporate sleek today for Jimmy Spencer to fit in.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, I loved your dad, Junior. I loved your dad, that son of a bitch, as he would say. If you watch that podcast, that's literally all he said the whole time. I loved him, man. I loved your old man.
Shadow Fire, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. I feel like Danny isn't going for the lead in picks. Just minus 48 off and a playoff berth short. I guess he'd say, you barely missed the cutoff line, I guess.
I mean, I'm living up to my balls, so really good, but not quite.
Yeah, Garbunky with the $5 super chat. For the rest of the season, I don't want to hear any whining about who the chat picks to win after that insane Ty Dillon pick last week. Well, thank you for not blaming us. Thank you for not blaming us. Like we did something, like we forced y'all to pick him. Come on, y'all. You're still leading. Who cares? Ross Crash Shame with the $5 super chat. And okay, hold on. Hold on. Our regular season champ. An ode to our regular season champ. Okay. Martin for Monday by entire straight. Then in parentheses, money for nothing by Dire Straits. I want my MTJ. I want my MTJ. Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope my voice sounded good that time. Slay Supersonic with the $20 super chat. Don't worry, folks. I'm almost done. Hope Chase Elliott missing the playoffs makes people realize just how special Kyle Busch's 2015 championship run was. Exactly. That's what we talked about last week.
Yeah, I think we did talk about that last week.
Yep. Yes, we did. Nobody else has been able to do what he did in NASCAR's modern era. 72 to 23. Yes. Richard Petty last did it in 71. Oh, wow. Yep. Just a year before the modern era. Wow. You're right. Hey, good point. Yep. We did talk about that for sure. It's extremely rare. Alex with the $5 super chat. Considering the outcome is positive, that car belongs in a museum. Maybe put in the Daytona Museum or something.
It belongs in a museum.
Or perhaps the Hall of Fame. You never know. Daniel with the $5 super chat. First round is set up great for KFB. A lot of KFB support tonight. Last year he missed because Gibbs gave him two bad motors. He was leading with a few laps to go when the first motor died. Yep, and it died under caution of all times during the race. Alex Luff with the $20 super chat. How about this for a video series for fun? All right, let's hear it. NASCAR drivers as WWE 2K23 wrestlers. Danny, that sounds like it's for you. I can create and hopefully, you can see the connection between driver and wrestler, like Tony Stewart as Stone Cold Steve Austin. What do you think, Danny?
Sounds fun to me, but YouTube would hate it and it wouldn't get in the algorithm whatsoever.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know about that. If you
Oh.
go wild with the character creator and get a pretty spicy thumbnail of like, Ross
I'm not gonna
Chastain
lie.
putting Noah Gregson in an arm bar or something like that would be kind of
I'm not gonna lie. When I first got the game, I was close to wanting to make the four of us from NWP, and I was starting with Eric, and they didn't have any hair that looked like you at all, and I was struggling.
You just
one of
gave
a
up.
kind. One of a kind.
Jimmy with the $5 super chat. Is Eric going to make this race day blog from Daytona? Are you? Or vlog,
No,
he means?
I didn't do it. I don't do those quite as often. A lot of them got kind of redundant. I try to do them when I go to new tracks that I haven't been to, and then Michigan didn't work out because it was raining on and off the entire day, and that made it hard.
That's what I do now. I just do races that if I've never been there before.
Yeah. So unfortunately, no, there's not one from Daytona.
Yeah. GN NASCAR fan 24 with the $5 super chat. Don't know if you saw this, but people posted pics of Auto Club Speedway a few days ago. We talked about that. I was there in February, and as far as I can tell, it looks unchanged. Yep. Thank you for not overreacting. We were just talking about that. Thank you, bro.
I thought I'd heard they'd like maybe tore down the suites, but maybe that was wrong. I haven't seen the photos, so I don't know.
They're saying it looks the same. The land's been sold, part of it, but hey, that's what they're saying. Napa Racing Fan 927 with the $2 super chat. NBC, it's the Southern 500, not the playoff 500. Again, NASCAR needs to negotiate better. Sorry. Tyler McGonigal with the $5 super chat. Man, my wallet is hurting. Will all of these okay, my bad. Man, my wallet is hurting with all of these Byron win diecasts. There you go. All kidding aside, I need more money to buy those diecasts. Hey, they're selling like hotcakes, I hear. So
I'll sign them all again for you.
There you go. JS Ski with the $2 super chat. Build a track in Detroit better than Chicago and Las Vegas. Oh, I don't know about that. I'll take Vegas over Detroit.
Michigan's pretty close to Detroit at this point.
Yeah, I'd say that. Yeah, but yeah. Mark Martin fan for life with the $2 super chat. Big hugs, Jarrett. We all love you. There you go. So you got some love. You got some love. Oh my gosh, we're down to the last two. Austin with the $5 super chat. Damn, you've been super generous, bro. Appreciate it. Hey Darian, I just saw your video on the Rams. Good stuff. Thank you, bro. Tune in next week. Stark Raven Sports. NFL Bus kicks off. So if you like NASCAR Bus, you'll love NFL Bus. Trust me. We are talking about the fat slop first. Anyways, Alessandro Sebastian with the $5 super chat, the final super chat of the evening. Off topic with all of the discussions from tonight's episode. Before you guys were NASCAR YouTubers, what regular jobs did you guys used to work at? Oh, let me go first, man. So I was a grocery bagger back in high school where we only got paid in tips. That was basically a scam, but hey, at least I worked hard, right? And then let's see, I was also a daycare worker for a gym. So I'm really good with little kids. And, I guess now my regular jobs, I guess I do some work at the fairgrounds and I DoorDash on the side, which I'll be doing after this show. Yeah, I have a little extra money. But yeah, Eric.
I've been getting paid on YouTube since I was 16. So I worked a little bit of jobs here and there in high school. I did a lot of video editing jobs and work for people because that was what I was good at. And so I tried to make the most of it. I worked at Disney World for 6 months. I worked at the Tower of Terror. That was a few years ago. So that's probably the coolest odd job I've done outside of making YouTube content.
I was a shelf stacker at a grocery store for a couple years, and then I also I was like a contractor. I built decks for people for a little while, and then I loaded airplanes at UPS for a little bit, and on my last week I almost got sucked into a jet engine, so I said, you know what, I will gladly take people watching YouTube videos and make being a YouTuber more of a job than it was at the time than dying.
I remember you telling me that. I was like, what the F? We almost lost you.
Didn't I call you or something?
I think you did.
Yeah, we were like
he called you before he called his own mother.
Call all of us, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because like we had the podcast or some kind of meeting or something. I'm like, guys, I almost died this week. What?
Like from what? What are you talking
Like
about?
you look like you were so cold because you were bundled up in all sorts of stuff you
Yeah.
had to wear.
So that same week we had a huge, like, not blizzard, but well, it was kind of a blizzard, but it got under.
A winter in Illinois.
No, because it got colder. It was like it was well below zero, and I had to work outside
Oh.
during it all. And I remember because around the same time, there's these little dolly docks that like you pull stuff around in a tug on there, and there's a little like system where you pull out the little screw, connect them, and put the screw back in. They're connected, and somebody didn't do it right. They were new and ended up losing their finger on the tarmac.
Oh, no.
And then I remember the time that two people started jousting with their tugs, and they both got fired on the spot because they hit each other right underneath a 747.
Damn.
It was wild, man. They were hiring everyone at the time, and it was freaking wild, dude. The holidays.
There was no security, no vetting these people.
I'm telling you what, man. UPS at the holiday season, more respect to people who do it on a regular basis. I respect Slap for being a driver. I respect friends of mine who load the plane. More respect to you.
Absolutely.
It was wild, man. But I would gladly never do that again.
Yeah, Danny, you're left.
See, in college, I worked for like 3 different small fishing stores in various places. One was near Knoxville. I helped them out a little bit. There was 2 more back home that I helped out in them. And then while I was in college, I worked at the Bass Pro Shop that was off of I-40 exit 407 right before you go into Pigeon Forge. I worked with them for probably over a year while I was in college. That was probably the longest job I had in college. For like a month, I worked for Jewelry Television, answering the phones for people who was placing their orders for jewelry, and that didn't last long. Luckily, I got asked to come in and interview for Bass Pro, and I did not want to keep doing that. That was a weird job. After college, I got my degree in hospitality management. I managed a motel for a year, but I knew deep down I wanted to work some kind of job in social media. Even though I didn't get that kind of degree, I wanted to do it. I knew I could do it. So I started a YouTube channel at the end of 2017. So I'd already been working as a motel manager for a little bit. Then knew, hey, I'm engaged, got to move out towards Nashville. So I moved out to Hendersonville, Tennessee. Most of you know, I sold cars for Beeman Toyota for over a year, almost a year and a half. Did that for a Toyota dealership that was in downtown Nashville. Now they're no longer there. They're getting ready to tear that dealership down. They moved it to another place. 2020 came around, and I worked for like maybe 1 or 2 months for a sign shop. COVID hit, got laid off, ended up delivering for Instacart. They asked me to come back into the sign shop. I had barely even been there, didn't know what the heck I was doing there. They was asking me to do the job of 3 people, and I still didn't know anything and wasn't trained properly. I had to leave. Sorry, not doing it. End up doing Instacart the rest of 2020 while also trying to figure out what am I doing with my YouTube, and was doing, a few things, kind of like making appearances for NASCAR's digital team. But that was just, a chance to get my name out there a little bit more. 2021 comes along. I get a career job that I am still with. Longest career I've ever had. Probably will be with them until I don't know when. I'll probably be with them forever. TBN, Trinity Broadcasting Network. I work for a great digital team. I love my coworkers there. I love our team. Love what we're doing at TBN, and working with a news guy named Eric Stackelbeck. So that's what I do. My job.
Yeah. And Eric, what's going on, Eric? You okay? Okay, bro.
I was just trying to spice up the show. Just trying to
Hey, hope you enjoyed those detailed answers, Alessandro. But now we got 2 more super chats. I'll read them really quick. Daniel, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Jared is woke. Okay, I've never heard that one before. Okay. Yeah, he's the last person to be woke, I can tell you. Alex Luff with the $5. Yeah, Alex Luff with the $5 super chat. Sunday is my birthday, so fingers crossed that Joey Logano wins even more. Yep. I think otherwise, but hey, you never know.
Happy early birthday.
Yep. And by the way, the poll ended Truex won 38%. So Danny, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Danny, for making it interesting this week. Well, yeah. So that'll do it for another edition of the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. We are back next week. Join us next week on Wednesday night, September 6th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time over on Eric Esef's channel. Yep. And we will be going over the Southern 500 weekend and preview the Kansas triple header. So, fellas, I think that just about does it, man. So I will do my outro really quick and we'll be on our way. Enjoy the race weekend, everybody. Have a safe, happy weekend. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Black Flags Matter. Catch you next time. Goodbye.
Have some fun tonight. Go get us a W. Hell yeah. Ready. Green. What the copy? Right foot down. We had to go blast. Unbelievable, man. Ready to keep your head in it. Holy oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah. Boy. Yeah. I'm done with it. Kiss your face. Set sail. Steve, you look beautiful. Look great.